Hasan recently bought a $3 million house. The left has been up in arms around over this because he advocates for socialism. Is this contradictory? Should self-ascribed socialists make extravagant purchases like this? Is Hasan just a performative socialist? Or is it ridiculous to ask a socialist to refrain from extravagance? All right, yeah, a house, bought, mansions. Someone is enjoying them, not me. But you can help with that. Subscribe to the channel. But yeah, and people are wondering, like, is this a bad look? So we'll dig into this. All right, start with Alec, who is. Are you in the same hotel that? Is this the Shining Hotel? Is that what that is?
Yeah, that's what this is. Yes. Yeah. I figured, might as well just change it up on you a little bit. So yeah, Hasan. So this has been like a weird like Twitter shitstorm, and I guess probably a Twitch shitstorm and whatever. Is this like performative socialism, or like is Hasan a performative socialist? Hasan is an internet personality. Hasan is not a actionable socialist. Buying a $3 million mansion is not really the kind of things that a socialist does. I will say that we live in a society. We live in a society, and Hasan buying a $3 million mansion. Arguably the answer is, well, I mean, but he made money, and I mean, he bought it. And, well, fine, that's probably true. And I mean, I guess the alternative is giving away all his money or something. But it definitely is a little weird to go on the internet and talk about how much how good socialism is, and then buy a really big expensive mansion. You could probably buy a regular house, instead of a mansion, maybe, like just a suggestion. I was actually talking to my girlfriend about this, and she kind of brought a good point up for me that I guess was a little interesting of like, I mean, he has the money, so why should he not use it? But if you're arguing, from the perspective of not wanting, an amass of money in individual people, then you amassing $3 million and buying a mansion is not really the best praxis. So Weird Champ is my summary of Hasan. So.
Thank you. Next, ChudLogic.
Okay, Karl Marx once said, referred to ruthless criticism. So, ruthless criticism of all that exists. Ruthless both in the sense of not being afraid of the results it arrives at, and in the sense of being just as little afraid of conflict with the powers that be. Sad, really, that lefties today seem to have forgotten that message and have been falling over themselves to either play defense for this ownership of this mansion because they themselves are like sitting at the top of the pile of gold, or perhaps a degree of temporarily imbalanced millionaire homeowners who thinks that maybe they're going to be one day and be in that position. Now, in terms of like the hypocrisy, I don't really care whether Hasan individually is a hypocrite. I think that, everyone's a hypocrite in a capitalist society. There are, of course, levels to that. We'll probably get into that. For me, there's a structural issue here as a Marxist, and that is the fact that it seems like all of these creators who have extremely radical politics and talk about, streets running red with the blood of landlords in Minecraft, eventually get to a point where they're subsumed and recuperated by capital, and then they start to just push, at best, social democracy, taxation for the rich, and at worst, kind of fairly bland liberalism. So, I find that to be disappointing. The final point I'd make on this, the pattern and the way that I describe this, is people tend to go from talking about eating the rich to taxing the rich to taxing me, and that's it.
Thank you. Counterpoints.
Yeah, no, these are takes that I appreciate so far. I understand that, like, from a theoretical perspective, like, socialism is not when you own a house. I get that. I also understand that in a market socialism in particular, there's not necessarily any kind of prohibitions against like luxury. As a matter of fact, I think plenty of leftists arc to try to achieve luxury, gay space communism for everybody. So like there's nothing inherently hypocritical in owning a really nice house. I think, and seeing that like being memed about is like, oh, you can't own nice things as a socialist. No, that's not really my criticism. My criticism is that there's a lot to do. And it doesn't seem like our government is interested in doing those things, which means that ultimately it's up to everyday people to decide whether or not they want to contribute to positive change in the world. When you have the ability to buy a $3 million house, that also means that you have the ability to buy a $1 million house and maybe a $2 million house, and maybe do a $500,000 donation to a cause that you care about, or alternatively use it in order to create a self-perpetuating economic machine that actually advances your values. Whether that's a worker cooperative, reclaiming spaces for the homeless, contributing to a charity or something like that. That way you're not accused of hypocrisy, I think would all be good things. And what's kind of frustrating with this whole thing is that Hasan and his stands, their rebuttal to any criticism has been, oh, socialism is, what is it? It's like, yeah, socialism is when you own house or some shit like that. And I think Hasan said, most people can suck my dick or some shit like that. That was his response to the criticism, when realistically you could have solved this shit with literally like a $200K donation, $500K donation and called it a day. But fuck it. We'll get into it in the open.
Captain A. Jones.
Yeah, I actually tend to agree with Counterpoints. Like, if you're going to be rich, I'm not rich, but if I had the money, I would love to give to charity. That sounds like a great thing to do. But generally, like, my takes on this is like, I don't personally give a shit that he bought a house. Who really cares? But if you're gonna sit there and act like you're this socialist who cares so much, then yeah, exactly. Give a $200,000 donation and just be done with it. It's so easy. If you have the money, you just bought a $2.7 million house, drop another 100 or 200,000. It seems so obvious. However, there's a point. There is a point where, like, I actually think that government regulation and action is far more effective, if not the only effective thing, when it comes to things that we deal with, like climate change. I'm thinking of as the example, like our individual actions. For instance, I recycle and I do all that stuff. It makes me feel better, but in the end, I'm 1 out of 7 billion people. My impact is beyond negligible. It means so little. And I want to keep that in mind, that it's basically the same thing with him too. Like, he's just one person, yes, he should give money with all the money he has. Anyway, I'll leave the rest for the panel.
See?
Well, as far as the whole, I know it's the dramatic pause.
You're dedicated to the dramatic pause.
It gets me every time. It gets me every time. But okay, all right.
So, I think it's obvious. It's so obvious at this point that there's someone that's not living what it is they've been preaching, right? I mean, there's this, it's almost like there's this masked person, right? That we all see in the room, with this luxurious piece of real estate behind them, like.
Wait, are you talking about my Peloton?
They are, they're saying they're for socialism, but their actions speak of capitalism, and it creates this hypocrisy from idea and action. So no doubt this conversation is fucking useless to anybody that really wants to, like, have a rational conversation, because it's all right in front of you to see. You're just choosing not to see it, right? The only way we can have this, motherfucker, is with memes, right? So bring your fucking A game, right? Because it's about to go down.
Was that directed at me?
You have a guilty conscience all of a sudden? Did anybody else?
I was looking at everyone else's backgrounds, and I looked in Chud's background, and that's the one that I guess, like, I was looking at the most. But then I was like, wait a second, that's a cartoon, and it took me a second. Good try, Chud. But like, I'm just wondering. I just want you to be pointed with it, because like, wait. You're talking about me?
Okay,
I'm not a socialist, so I mean, like, I don't think I'm necessarily.
Okay,
hold on.
So I don't.
I guess the question is were you actually listening? Because I said the masked man.
Oh,
Jesus.
Okay.
God,
Yeah, that's a
Captain
nice
A.
house.
Jones.
I do have a guilty conscience, son.
Ugh.
You got me.
Drama here. Captain A. Jones is a big time stockbroker, right? So he's a little, yeah, he's a little sensitive today. All right, Biggs.
Yeah. So, first of all, I think it's freaking awesome that Hasan was able to buy a multi-million-dollar mansion in LA. Props to him for getting that kind of money. That's awesome. His hustle's great. The one thing that I think is kind of premonitions of ChudLogic, because I think that ChudLogic makes better content in his big toe than Hasan has in all of his content. So hopefully you're on your way to
I
getting
don't.
that.
I don't
mansion,
endorse
buddy.
that. I don't endorse that. I think Hasan does great work. Right? Great work. I like to talk to him about that work.
Oh,
one
Christ,
day.
come on.
I
Sure you
think
do,
he's
but
actually
anyway.
Clout
does
chasing
Bring
make-
him on to
pride.
answer for his
Clout
crimes
chasing
against
pride.
socialism.
Look. I want to watch, like, was it 40 Day Fiance all day too? Like, I think that.
Yeah,
How
right?
is that
Wouldn't
not
that be
top
amazing,
tier?
right?
How could you insult this man? This channel loves Hasan. Putting it out there. All right, go ahead.
Anyway, so yeah, but as far as the hypocrisy goes, for one, I'm not surprised. We see this with most all of the bigger creators, not just on the socialist side, but on the right, like the Ben Shapiro's, the Louder with Crowders. I mean, they're all characters of themselves. They're all basically fake, right? They're all a grifter. I mean, we talk about grifters in like our sphere of like our small community of like Twitch politics, but these are like the ultimate grifters, right? And what ends up happening is these people get the money and then they begin to change. Like some of the previous panelists had mentioned, I think Chud mentioned about how like they go from taxing the rich, then taxing the billionaires, then to hey, maybe we should just spread the taxes around kind of thing. They just slowly go down that line. Anyways, but what I think is the worst part about this whole situation is you have these socialists and lefties trying to go to bat for this guy when he's obviously a grifter, right? I mean, he may believe some of what he says, or may have believed it in the past, but I don't think he does anymore. His actions speak louder than words, like CTV said. One thing you'll know, if you really want to know how somebody is, follow their actions and follow their money, because that's where they put what they really care about in. And I think that if you really want to be a socialist and push these ideas and push these policies, one of the first things and most important things you can do is pick up the reins and lead by example, because otherwise you're just making yourselves look bad and you're making your party look bad and whatever your ideologies are, because you're just saying rules for me but not for thee. So that's my take.
Thank you, Dan.
Yeah, I've agree pretty much with everyone here in Connor and Critical and CTV that a lot of this obviously seems a bit hypocritical to Hasan's part for his as he tries to explain his views of socialism while owning a $3 million house, which ironically for me, I don't really care much of it myself. I'm pro at least capitalist to an extent, and do own some property, and a lot of into that means like I definitely would think that I would feel much more at ease, or at least much of the leftist community, if Sasan just bought like a regular, like 1-story house for all what his needs are, instead of having a gigantic space and work on a lot of different projects within his community and charity. Which I don't think charity is usually the best option because it doesn't effectively affect systemic change. But if put forward, is like money where his mouth is, such as being humble and being in a position where he's at, like, which is spouting socialist talking points while living in a $3 million house. It's a difficult conundrum to really look at the moment.
All right. Well, I'm gonna start by complaining, usual bitching about being the last person to speak on the panel. Everyone says all the smart things. I just have to go, oh yeah, that was a good point. Oh yeah, fuck you, whoever, for calling me out. You guys did have pretty good things to say. I think Hasan is pretty much like a socialist lifestyle streamer, right? Like there's like Vegan Gains or whatever, who's like vegan lifestyle, whatever, but like doesn't actually keep vegan. I feel like that's pretty much what Hasan is like. I guess it comes down to pretty much the utility of, right, so he has, I don't know, what is it, an average like fucking 35,000 people watching him. Like his numbers have grown huge. that's a huge number of people who are watching him kind of talk generally on the topic of some kind of socialist lefty things. So it's kind of like socialist lefty TV. It's kind of on that topic, but it's not like praxis per se. It's not doing things. It's just kind of in that topic. So really, like I think Biggs, you mentioned as like one thing that could be great is his if he were to lead by example and say, hey, okay, so I've got some money together. Here's what I could do with this. Here's some way to build. I think Counterpoints said this as well. Like, could start some fucking grocery co-op, some small thing somewhere that could have people working in a co-op. Here's a project that I'm going to start. It'd probably be good for his numbers too. I mean, that would be pretty exciting. Whatever. That would probably bring some clout. But the fact is that's doesn't seem to be what he's about. It doesn't seem to be about like doing kind of socialist things. It's just that's kind of the topic and the kind of overall cultural framework of what he talks about. So it's kind of unsurprising. Maybe it's unfortunate. I think the one thing that I will critique is just this kind of idea of like humbleness of like, should live in like a smaller home and show how, whatever modesty is. I think that's kind of bullshit. That's kind of fake because, he's a multimillionaire, right? However he chooses to live, he has all that money, all that means for people supporting him and liking his entertainment. So I don't think he necessarily has to like virtue signal that he's modest, whatever. But I think it'd be cool when it's got that many people watching who care about socialism in theory to try to put that into practice.
Okay. All right. Open to the panel.
Yeah. So, sorry. Go ahead. No, you first. First.
All I wanted to do, so you might want to make your point because all I wanted to do is actually ask, has Hasan said anything about like what he considers socialist praxis to be? Like I haven't watched Hasan because I don't give a shit about him, so I don't know enough about his praxis.
Well, he's
so,
great,
like,
so you should be watching, honestly. Yeah. But go ahead, sorry, Alice.
No, I would like to respond to this. So the only thing worth watching Hasan on is basically his Coomer streams where he watches women say that they would want to date Hasan, and then he just like looks into the camera like, and then that's like the only thing that for me that's the only thing that I watch Hasan for because it is cute. He's a fucking cute guy, okay? But I think his politics are dog shit, and I fucking hate him. I hate his politics, not him individually. But the just to bring this up because oh my god, everybody fucking agrees that Hasan's a goddamn hypocrite. Now I have to bring up the counter argument. Socialism has fucking nothing to do with how much money you make. It literally doesn't. It's decommodification of the basic human needs, and it's the ownership of the means of production. So like basically like the reason why I got a little frustrated was because I was hearing like, oh well, he should live in like a 1,500 square foot 2-2 in the valley instead of a 4-3 in West Hollywood. And it's like that has nothing to do with fucking socialism. The whole reason why I brought up my criticisms of him is because there's actually like a lot of really simple things that could be done. So for instance, like one of the things that I brought up on Twitter in the past couple of days, because I'm a fucking asshole, is the fact that dead malls, regardless of whether or not you kept the building themselves, could be rebuilt as high density urban housing. They have large parking areas. They have like they have community open spaces. They already have air conditioning. They already have electricity. So even if you decided to rip down the dead J.C. Penney and build a new building with apartments on the corner of the mall, you're effectively revolutionizing the way Americans conceptualize daily life with a new idea. Now, I know this idea isn't everywhere, so it's like I'm criticizing Hasan, who might not even be aware of this idea, but people talk about high-density housing. People talk about climate change. People talk about making investments in their communities and all that kind of shit. And here's a motherfucker who's making like, I don't know, 10 times our money, something like that. And he basically has the opportunity to still live in the $3 million house, still coom every single day and bang porn stars, but also actually help out his real political beliefs. And the fact that we have, last rant because it's been in my brain for a really long time. The fact that we consistently have large leftist creators using terms like supererogatory, where it would be good if they did it, but they're not morally obligated to do. I'm pretty sure like high-end leftists literally Googled the term supererogatory so they wouldn't have to do shit about their actual espoused principles. So end of rant.
Yeah, this is actually true, and I think because the thing is, right, is like at the end of the day, if you're on a plane, right, you need to put your own oxygen mask on before you put someone else's on. You're no good to anyone if you're trying to organize and you don't have your basic material needs met, right? So I don't have a problem with people, working hard to get to where they need to be. But once you reach a certain level, like, I don't really care about the house so much. It's just there's the lack of anything else. And people will sometimes point and go, well, he's donated some money to charity, okay? As a socialist, right, charity isn't fucking socialist, okay? Charity is not a socialist thing. It serves a function of neoliberalism, which is to offset responsibilities of the state onto individuals. Of course, if you can, give money to charity. I'm not against giving money to charity in principle, but as a socialist, you should look to do a bit more than just fucking give 10k to charity, right? You should look to build something, like sort of Counterpoints is talking about, right? Like this thing that he's talking about. You can build a project, you can build a tenants union, you can build a workers union. You've got a lot of clout and a lot of attention, right? And you can do all of this outside of the pre-existing systems. And this is another big problem that I've got. I know there's people on this panel that are fucking, DNC's great, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. There's plenty of ways to organize with the DNC. But if you want to really push society forward, you've got to start thinking outside of the terms of what's currently, available. So if you can push for things outside of the system that's going to move things forward, that's going to be a good thing. And at the end of the day, people like Hasan, they've got the clout and money to do that. But unfortunately, all of these lefties get on a big pile of gold like Smaug the Dragon and just go, oh, just tax me a bit more. Just tax me a bit more. And that's the end of it. And I'm fucking sick of it. And that's it.
Could you
It's
say
actually
Smaug
worse
one
than
more
that.
time? Could you do that? Just Smaug one more time.
Smaug.
There
Smaug.
There you go.
Absolutely.
So it's actually
So-
it's actually go ahead, Alice.
No, it's okay. I was just gonna ask what would be enough. Like, so for me, I agree with. We're all agreeing here. So we're saying Hasan is fucking performative socialist. Okay, fine. We're all on the same page there. But like, what would be enough? What could Hasan have done? Like, is he gonna spend his What could he have done with the $3 million? He's gonna buy a house, right? So he's gonna spend $700,000, $1 million maybe on a house because that's how much it costs and where he lives. So he's not going to go live in the ghetto or whatever. He's going to buy a house. That's fine. So he's got $2 million. What's he going to do with that $2 million? That's more transformative. He's not going to give $2 million to charity because you're right, charity is not the answer. So what does he do with that $2 million?
So I think it's just important to note that obviously he's got a mortgage, right? So I just want to say very quickly, he's got a mortgage. So obviously we don't have like $3 million in the suitcase to fucking do right. So, but the thing is, I think.
Do.
Sure. Okay. Well, the thing is, I think it's just about like looking at ways that you can utilize that money, and it's not about necessarily is it enough, isn't it enough? It's about like I think looking at the results maybe in the future. Like some of this stuff could be over time that we see that he starts to do things, and if so, doff the cap and all that. But it's a bit troubling that like he's got the resources, and what is he doing? Is he setting up an org to push forward socialist ideas? No, he's buying a massive fucking house. So yeah. I think it's just about putting some effort in somewhere.
Oh my God! All right, I'm gonna be a real dick. So fucking all right. So we were literally talking about this in the Discord. We were talking about criticizing Vosh and other leftists because he obviously went to bat for Philosophy Tube for basically making a shitload of money and not doing much with it, right? So he went to fucking bat for her, and then he's obviously doing okay. I think he said like after expenses he makes about 175K right a year, which is a decent chunk of change. He's only been doing it for 2 years. He's doing well, but he's not rich yet, right? So we were thinking about basically calling him out and saying, why don't you take that money, create a cooperative, and on top of that, like I'm monetizing right now, we're thinking about making our monetization cooperative, meaning that the patrons who actually participate in the project get like actual material benefit back out of it. So we were just talking about all that kind of shit and how to call these people out. And then what shielded him from criticism was the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund. Great job, raised $300,000. But I want to point this out. That's still other people's money.
That's
still other people's
exactly.
money. The leftists still haven't done shit with their money yet. What the fuck?
That's you're exactly bang on the money. And sorry, the final thing, I know I keep talking, but yeah, as a socialist, like, the church, I'm not saying charity's bad. Charity can call, bring about a need to stuff, but it's not fucking socialist, to go, oh, hey fans, can you chuck a load of money to this charity, please? Like, it's bullshit. And I, as a principle, don't do charity streams because, I've got my position on it, without going into it. But yeah, people point to these charity streams and go, oh, well, I've done a charity stream. And it's like, yeah, but that's not quite what we would expect from a socialist, right? Like, I don't know. Anyway, I'm not going to speak for a while.
I think
Well, just to
What
kind
I
of push
think's
back
even
on
worse
that
than
like a
all
little bit.
this.
Oh,
Okay,
sorry,
yeah,
go ahead.
let's
I
give
want
Biggs,
to hear
give
that
Biggs a
rant.
chance.
I want to hear the worst than all of this rant.
All right, so let's
Yeah.
give Biggs a chance, and then let's go to
So
Socrates.
all right, cool. So what's even worse is not only is it that they're not really doing anything, they're actually being counterproductive to their actual goals. You look at like what the Young Turks, his uncle or whatever. As soon as they wanted to try to unionize, they freaking shut down, like fired people, right? And you have these like socialist magazines like Current Affairs. Just this last week, they're being accused of firing people because they tried to start a co-op. They tried to like start a co-op within their business. So like these people that are espousing all these views are actually taking steps to actually squash their own ideals from happening. It's like they're being just I don't know how people can't see through this. Literal just it's right in
Thanks,
front of you. You know what I
CIA.
mean?
I mean,
Hey, you're the
yeah,
one that has
yeah, I
Fed
agree.
ties, right?
So Socrates, and then Dan.
Yeah, I mean those are interesting. I think so you're definitely not wrong that they're espousing these things and then they're shutting down any of those things actually happening in their orgs. I think there's another thing at play, which is so I know Current Affairs. I've followed them and I actually know the guy who started it. But there's an element of reaching a certain level as someone who espouses these views and then realizing certain practical complexities of, oh, cool, like I always talk about co-ops. Co-ops are great. I have a lot of articles arguing for co-ops. And then when it comes time, it's like, wait, I want creative control over my endeavor that I started. I want this to be good. It's important that I'm still at the helm to manage this. Wait, shit, how does this work? And then
it always comes down to selfishness and just personal justifications of their actions.
Well,
They say, well,
I don't think it is only that, because I think there's some genuine reasons for things to be run in ways other than co-ops, because or not just like arguing against co-ops, but like there's a certain standard in place. So when you have like a magazine or whatever, if you're concerned about the quality falling of your magazine and it becoming no longer relevant, no longer pushing the message well enough, because we talk a lot about like, is something far left enough or whatever, and honestly most of the time it's irrelevant, because it's really just a question of, is it effective enough, is it doing a good enough job, however the hell far left it is. And so when you look at like Hasan, he's doing a really, really good job bringing people in to something that people are willing to identify with the label leftist, whatever, socialist. And then the question is, well, what are you effective at bringing them into actually doing? And so something like organizing like a charity stream, I actually think that there's something to that. Obviously, okay, he raised this money he raised other people's money to make it happen. But there's some kind of community aspect of that's really what, we should be building on as leftists is, okay, well, we organize this money to be raised. How could we organize volunteers to do something? How could we organize people to do something local themselves? How does that build? How does that... anyway, yeah.
Well, yeah. So if I could jump in from this, but these are often like capitalist critiques, right? That like institutions will not be effective once they become democratized. You have to have some board, you have to have an executive, and all that kind of stuff. The real and like, as a matter of fact, I would be sympathetic to the argument of, we're not there yet as a society. Society is not structured or culturally built around a socialist view of power and distribution and wealth and all that kind of stuff. So we're just not there yet. But then create the fucking thing. Mm-hmm. Make a food cooperative, make community housing, buy an apartment, and then let people live in that apartment as co-owners, kind of like a condo, but not shitty. Like these are all things that could be done, but they're just fucking not.
But does...
Oh no, Dan first, and then Alice.
Yeah, I don't think we much disagree on that. It's obviously community building is like essential to most ideas of socialism, and a lot of that does with helping people organize together and create a social union to implement their own policies through brute force or other means. So I entirely think that, to that point, as Counterpoint said, that is given the situation to the critiques of either side. to that, but it, even as we have mentioned, he's like a way into radicalizing into people believing in social policies or further. It's not the exact method that would say be effective entirely causing a social movement within like the United States, for example.
But quick counterpoint, all of the reasons why like capitalists and mixed economy capitalists object to the radicalization in the first place is because all of the points that are being brought up by these people for why they can't do the lefty thing is the arguments that capitalism bring for why socialism doesn't work in the fucking first place. So you're radicalizing people to a structure that you haven't even proved works on a small level. Like the whole, when it comes to like experimentation, you don't fucking like I'm sorry, I'm just gonna be like a little bit not hyperbolic, but I'm just gonna be a little bit descriptive. You don't go into American society, execute all the landlords, and then go, now what? Like that's not the game plan. The game plan is you build a fucking cooperative housing place first. You build a cooperative grocery. You build high density fucking housing with the logistics and the lifestyle that people like all that kind of shit. And you do it on a small scale and you say, listen, capitalism is fucking great for some things, but it's dog shit for these things. We have a working model that works on a small scale. We need to expand this up to society. And the fact that like that literally this is like somebody being like, I'm going to go fucking run a marathon, but they can't run a fucking 10-minute mile. It's fucking absurd.
So
but the thing is, I think that
really.
So if I may jump in, sorry, Chad, I just want to add a little bit. Like, I think that kind of a lot of this conversation in terms of like how leftists are feeling betrayed by Hasan Piker right now, who's a 30-year-old man and has a lot yet left to do with his life. Like, we don't know what he's going to do in the future. He could be very charitable. He could do all these things that we're talking about. He still has a long time to prove.
He's not good.
He might not. I'm not going to bet that he's going to do that, but he still has a long time to prove it. But like, I think that it's kind of wrong because I think that most of the things that we're trying to get towards this progressive society, none of that is done by individual action, unless the individual action is voting for people who are trying to get progressive policies passed. Like, but that's not exactly individual action. We're talking about government action, like, or at least I am. I think I think that that's the way that we get to this society that we want. I mean, I get worker co-ops, all that, but no worker co-op is going to be able to compete with Walmart. No worker co-op is going to be able to compete with Amazon. Not right now. I think we're far beyond the point where like a worker co-op can be this thing that saves us. Now, should he be putting his money where his mouth is? Yeah, of course. Does it make him a performative socialist? Yeah, of course. But like at the end of the day, I don't see how.
But
I don't think he's a hypocrite for buying a house.
Okay, sure. He's not a hypocrite for buying a house because, as we've already mentioned, definitionally, like you can be rich under a market socialist structure. That's not the argument. In the fear of all individualistic, libertarian, mixed economy capitalists or capitalist folks is that when you say we can't implement this on a small scale, we can only implement it on a big scale. Basically, what you're saying is our system only works if we have top-down power over how we do society. And the frustration from like a libertarian or a capitalist or individual rights or liberal democratic perspective is that when we look at top-down socialism or top-down communism, so far, all communists have been able to achieve is fucking authoritarian state capitalist fucking nightmare.
That is fucking absurd.
Go for it.
You're-
Go for
yeah,
it. I am so fucking ready.
Yeah, get him,
Well,
Joe.
counterpoints, you're just
I'm
yelling.
so
Right,
ready.
first of all, okay.
I'm so ready.
Take the first swing.
Okay, the idea that like, this is like ideological bullshit. Oh, they've achieved this authoritarian state. And look, there are criticisms you can make of the USSR, okay? But the idea that is the USSR, for
going
example's only achievement is absolutely fucking absurd. And I've got to say as well, this idea of like, listen, Counterpoints is doing
That's
the thing
not
he
even
always
what he
does. And
said.
go, oh, no, listen. He's doing the
But
thing
that's
he always
not what
does,
he said,
right?
though. He didn't say that was
No,
for
listen.
that-
Shut up. The only
I
thing,
know,
right,
for
listen.
my person
okay?
speaking the
Come on.
fucking truth, we gotta tell him to shut up. I
no,
get
no,
it.
listen.
You start talking
Right,
when
there's
he's
this
talking.
right at the- Counterpoints is doing the thing where he looks at a couple of Twitter lefties going kill landlords in Minecraft or whatever, and he's going, "Oh no, there's look, there's these, there's people out there who engage in like very utopian ideas of what society's going to be like. The whole concept is, you look at the material circumstances and realities of the world. You try and solve the contradictions that exist collectively and collaboratively and move forward. There isn't going to be a stage where we go, oh, let's go and do this and kill these people and kill that people and da 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 da. It's about the expertise to look at society and how it operates and move things forward. That is the true idea and project of socialism and communism. And the thing is, we live in a different material reality to what Russia did in 1917. So any project that going along those lines is going to inevitably turn out differently. That's all I've got to say.
Okay, ChudLogic, I love you. That was totally not the right critique for that moment. Okay, counterpoints. The direct answer to what you were saying, when people are talking about small co-op can't compete with Walmart, it's not because we need a big government thing to make a thing that works well enough that the extremely efficient Walmart system that's patented, whatever, that's the best thing ever. No, the issue is that those large corporations, those multinational corporations, they have so much government control that they're able to make their system work for them very, very well. So I totally agree with you that anybody who's like lefty, who says like, no, like this can't work on a small scale, we need the government to make it work for us, that's bullshit. But the critique of saying whatever, this corporation is extremely powerful and they have a huge amount of control over the government currently, and that currently prevents us from making some kind of community thing based work. That's the critique.
So are you saying like there's so much, for instance, infrastructure, like not just physical but like governmental infrastructure that backs like the capitalist form? Like for instance, when you're talking about energy, right? When you're talking about competing with oil, it's hard because oil has like massive amounts of infrastructure all over the country. It has subsidies, right? It has, all that good stuff. And then you're like, oh, well, why doesn't solar compete? Well, it's not so easy to do so, right? Yeah, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Lemon Hun, Decoy Octopus, for like gifting so many subs just then that my computer slowed down. 100 subs for Decoy Octopus.
Holy.
Yeah, thank you.
Holy. Socialism.
I better see some prime. Like this is not. It's not an emergency.
Give me a fucking break.
This is not an. Yeah, I know. Oh man.
No.
Good point. Calling me out.
Something to Prime. That's socialism.
Yeah.
$100.
So
What?
Capitalism.
He's
Please.
gonna go up.
So Decoy Octopus, thank you so goddamn much. You only gifted 1 sub to the channel before, and now you're 100. Okay, I like that kind of escalation. You can all learn from something from him. Thank you so much, Decoy Octopus, for being so kind as to help us out. There will be Prime Banking emotes in chat. I know there will be because that's what we have them for, right? To show people that invest in this community that we appreciate them. So I know when I scroll down here, I'll find a whole list of Prime Banking emotes. Thank you, Decoy Octopus, for being so kind as to help us out. In Seismic, oh, wait a minute. This is more? Hold on. Where am I? But yeah, thank you so much. It's just like my computer's. Wait a minute. How many are there? A Decoy Activist, thank you. I think someone else donated too, but I'm sorry. If I did, then you got lost in the sauce. But I thank you. I think Seismic might have donated. I don't know. You got lost in the sauce. Thank you. All appreciate it. All right.
Okay, so I got a little bit too excited. It's actually probably really good that you gave me a little break.
Pause. That's why I was confused. He gifted 300. He gifted 300. He gifted 300. Whoa, I'm sorry. I didn't, because like it kept scrolling and I was like, I wasn't sure. I'm like, is this a new group? No, it's not a new group. No, it's a new group. He gifted 300 subs. Holy crap. Yeah. Prime.
And as such, he now owns that proportion of the shares of your show.
Thanks, baby.
Wait, how many subs total do you have? Because what, should 3 of us leave and there should be 3 of him, or how many?
I'm not paying into union. Okay.
This is why I'm tier 3. I don't have to worry about this.
Wait,
Exactly.
so Prime. So when's the co-op coming? You got those 300 subs. Now you gotta start.
You
the
gotta
co-op.
start
Can I
I gotta
redistributing.
say
out?
that I have not given my opinion on this matter yet. I'm not held to anything.
Listen,
opt
I'm
out.
just saying, I just want to raise taxes for billionaires, okay? Jeez.
Decoy, you just blew my motherfucking mind. Thank you, Decoy. I don't know why, but like you're doing this, but I do thank you for the kindness, for the generosity, investing in this community, so we can continue on to the future. I know we're interrupting the content here, but special circumstances. Thank you, Decoy Octopus. You're amazing. All right.
Raise taxes for those with more than 1,000 subs.
And Rackus Network, thank you for the 1,000 bits as well. He says, Prime turn up Connor's mic, everyone is 10 times louder than him. All right. He gets super loud though. Like he doesn't shut up. All right, no. All right, that's fine. I'll do it. Go ahead.
I'll try to be very calm. Okay. I don't think anywhere in my 3-minute rant did I say that the USSR or the CCP didn't achieve some good things despite being dystopian authoritarian nightmares. I don't know where that point came from.
Oh my God.
Okay, hold on. So if you want to go down that fucking road, I don't give a shit.
We don't have to, okay? But you're filling it with like ideological shit and going on about like fucking. Anyway, sorry. Continue.
Wait, I'm sorry. Are we not here to fight over ideologies and how they affect the world? What the fuck are you bitching about?
It's pure ideology, guys.
No. The point.
Oh my God.
Okay, look, just continue. Make your comment. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have interrupted you. My mistake. Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was getting a little feisty. I think you're getting a little feisty too. Anyways, so the here's another thing. I think Socrates came at me with this point. I fundamentally fucking reject that you cannot do small scale fucking socialist projects. I think that's absolute fucking bullshit. There is a company that is.
Yeah, that was not my point. I was saying
fine.
if somebody says that, then they're full of shit.
Okay, cool. Then let me prove how they're full of shit. There is so the workers owning the means of production. If there was a privately held company in which the workers held all of the stock for that fucking company, I would consider that workers owning the means of production. There's a grocery chain in the Southeast that's incredibly successful. It's called Publix. It's privately held. All of the workers have private stock inside the company. And as a result, they have grocery baggers with physical and mental disabilities who retire as near millionaires because they sell their stock after 30 years of work and they turn around and give it back to the other people who work in that business. So the fact that this isn't something where, I don't know, like fucking Hasan or whoever, whatever rich fucking leftists, because they're fucking pundits and they're jerking off the fucking socialist class. The fact that they haven't figured out like, hey, are there already cooperative programs that are doing it right? Are there businesses who give a shit about their employees and are giving good businesses? I'm going to buy stock in those companies. I'm going to start charities. I'm going to start grocery co-ops. I'm going to start this. I'm going to start that. Pretending that you can't do this because of the evils of fucking capitalism is so insert ableist slur here that it blows my fucking mind and sends me into a rage.
So I would
to point out that I actually am part of a co-op grocery store, so I'm doing more Praxis than Hasan.
There we go.
Yeah.
Come to me.
I would just counter to Counterpoints that it's not all or nothing on the socialism or the capitalism thing. Like I personally am not like a full-blown socialist. I definitely I don't think that we're ever going to get rid of capitalism. And so I believe that we have to work within its framework. Which is why I, again, think that government action is far more effective.
What is the framework?
The framework of capitalism.
Yeah, what is that framework, by the way?
Money.
Just money? That's the only thing?
It's far more than that, but I don't really want to go
commodity equation.
Yeah, money, private businesses. What more do you want?
People being able to make decisions between themselves without a third party, right?
That would be like free market capitalism if you want to have no regulation or anything like that.
Right.
Well,
which I'm not. Which again, I'm trying to say there's something in the middle, right? So I know you're trying to drag this back into a white and black situation where it's but I'm not. No, I'm trying to say there's something in the middle, right?
Wait, why did you say white and black?
Yeah, it's
Why
kind of
did I
weird.
say that? See,
What did you mean by you
always
people?
black or
Damn it,
white.
why do I
Even
constantly-
Michael
you know what,
Jackson
Prime?
said it was black or
Every
white.
fucking
CTV's
time
just
I come
memeing
on
like
your
he always
channel,
feel the
does.
need to do
I swear
that.
to God.
Then. I mean,
Okay.
they gotta tell
CTV's
us.
just memeing. That's all he's got is memes.
Interesting.
Hey, look, ever
Oh.
since I came on to Prime's panel, I've been a racist, I've been an anti-Semite, I've been a
You
fucking
should stop doing
apologist,
that.
okay?
The
Like,
first thing is to
You should
admit it.
really stop doing that.
Personally insulted the Saudi royal family that one time.
yeah, the great kingdom of Saudi Arabia. I personally insulted them. I don't even know what I was saying anymore, but like, it's just not all enough.
Counterpoints, just so you know, some gifted give me 2,000 bits. He said he would give it to you, but you don't have the Twitch channel, so that's why he gave it to me. So just saying that.
We are in the process of monetizing, and also I just want to let you know we actually are figuring out a way to be cooperative, to make, like, I want to make a salary, I want to do well, and then I want to return material benefit to the people who invest in the channel, and we're thinking about how to do that and what the dollar amounts and the balance and all that kind of stuff is. So yeah, join the website is going to be called the Counterpoints Cooperative Program, and I'm going to fucking make leftists shit blood when I do what they advocate for better than them while being a mixed economy capitalist. That's actually the only reason why I'm even here.
We'll go to let's go to Dan next, and thank you for the 4,000 bits, Nick. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Why
go.
they gotta shit
turn.
blood though? That's just
What?
vivid.
I'm speaking here, CTV.
That's
So,
just vivid though.
Come
Yeah,
on,
let
come on,
me
come on,
sort
take
of
it
shit
in.
in blood.
Come on, yeah. I'm going to turn it down up to 11. And as we could say to Jones, I do understand his analogy about black and white, instead just wanting to meet in the middle. Like, as we don't want to, like, say Counterpoints view on civic nationalism to be equivalent to Nazis, but at least we want to go to a point where at least we could all benefit from a best system that could work within a society that would really get people to a better state of living while having the same amount of freedoms as we do. And we could have disagreements on that matter. As we're going to go back to the point about Hasan Piker, though, as we all have agreed, that he should at least put more into his community and area for at least systems to help people develop and organize. And that's entirely to the point that we should at least cooperate to that. We can go say, oh, then this will lead to communism and total destruction of society itself, but we have to be practical here.
Well, and can I say this is literally how fucking easy this shit is? So he probably does, I don't know, 10%, 20% down on the fucking house. He's paying the mortgage. He's making a few $100K a year. Literally, like $100K donation to the fucking DSA chapter of like Austin, Texas or some shit. That's it. Fucking beef squash. You're fucking done. And if people bitch at that, then you can just say, hey, listen, I'm not, because frankly, again, I think Hasan is a charming coomer. He can say, hey, listen, guys, I do not know how to spend this money. I don't know how to do Praxis. I know how to be beautiful and charming and sleep with porn stars and talk about socialism, but that's all I can do. So I'm going to give $100K to $200K to people who actually care about socialism and know how to implement it. And go, if you care about how that money's spent, then go fucking talk to them. Leave me the fuck alone. I'm going to be Kuman in West Hollywood.
Okay, we're going to go to Alice. We'll go to Alice next, and then we'll go to Chud. But before that, like, first of all, has he actually had sex with porn stars? Is this a thing?
Yes, he's dated like 2 or 3.
Of course he has.
Mia Malkova, Jacqueline Griffith. I don't know if he's dated any other ones.
Oh, all right. Well,
and I only know these women's names through Hasan. I've never seen them before in my life. Just watching streams and seeing him talking to them.
There were just a series of sounds that came out of your mouth. I didn't know who you were referring to.
No idea who they were.
But yeah, and Nick, that same person said they gifted the CTV in the past because he doesn't care about your ideology. He'll help you out. So yeah, thank you, Nick, and thank you for gifting CTV. All right, let's go to Alice.
Yes. So first off, Counterpoints, I don't want to see your history because I'm sure that your history has some questionable things with those porn stars. And then second off, we've been talking about kind of like socialism and like where we can make progress or not. And I imagine we probably have a mixture of radical socialists and then kind of like, I guess I'll call it like progressive socialism. I'm not really sure what the proper terms are here. I'm not a politics person, actually. But point is that we have people here who think that there's going to need to be some sort of massive, maybe violent change in Minecraft for socialism, and then some people who think they can make change like in the current system that we have. So we have like in intra-system and like external to the system. And I'm not sure which Hasan is. I don't know what he is. So if he's like a radical and he's external, then obviously this is bullshit and he's an idiot, and I don't know why he would buy a house that's $3 million if he's a radical socialist. But if he's not, if he's what I'll say is like an intra like systemic like socialist, and he thinks that he can make some sort of gradual change, then arguably he did the right thing by buying a house that's going to allow him to network potentially in politics. So that's kind of what one of my questions would be. I don't know what kind of socialist he is, so I don't know what he's doing. And it is quite possible that he'll use this influence for positive change in the system. Maybe he thinks that we can make change inside a capitalist system.
Is that why
you get it? I can flesh this out. I can flesh this out a bit. I know a lot about this. Okay, so this is so basically there's clips of Hasan going back, years, like he had his old setup. And basically there's clips of him talking about, like I say, the rivers running red with the blood of landlords in Minecraft. And then he's talking about, looking at a big house going, doesn't this just make you think we should just reappropriate their wealth? I'm sure there's more clips as well. So he has gotten big on, on this radical rhetoric. And now he's at the top of the pile of gold. He's going, and there's a tweet going, oh, just tax me more. Just tax me more. And it's like, okay, well, what is it? So there's basically two things that have happened here. Okay. Option number one is that is being subsumed and recuperated by capital. So what that means is he did have a radical message. And as he's gotten more money and he's, the incentives are there. This is a structural thing. Incentives are there to make him move towards softer rhetoric, to become a sock dem, which essentially is what he is now, more or less, right? So that's the option number one, which, it is what it is. The second one, though, would be that there was a more intent there. And actually, he didn't really mean what he was saying before. He was just saying it to be spicy and build an audience. And now he's got to the top of the pile. He's like, backing away from that rhetoric. So basically, he's either the second option, a grifter. The first one, he is, been subsumed by the system, which I guess I'm a bit more sympathetic to. But here's the thing. If he's been subsumed by the system, is that the fate of all lefty content creators? Is that my fate? Am I going to be buying a fucking $3 million house in a few years' time when I'm massive? So how do we avoid that?
You already did.
Look at you.
You already
That's true, I already did, yeah.
No, okay. So I completely listen, I understand. And on top of that, I think that part of the reason why I love capitalism so much, or at least mixed economy capitalism with like decent wages and benefits and all that kind of stuff. I literally won a single payer healthcare program. Is the reason why I love mixed economy capitalism is because it's so good at fucking subsuming revolutionary fucking dipshits.
Yes.
Literally so many fucking assholes buy Che Guevara fucking t-shirts. And I can't think of a bigger fucking insult than be like he was murdered by paramilitaries. And I think he would be more pissed off that he was turned into a commodified t-shirt made with fucking slave labor. Like I literally think he'd be more pissed off about that shit. So anyway, so the fucking point is I think mixed economy capitalism is really good at subsuming dissidents. That's part of the reason why I advocate for it, because I think it's a powerful and interesting system. But all of that being said, even if he backed down on his previous rhetoric, even if he doesn't want to kill landlords or rich people or let's reappropriate their wealth or anything like that, there's still an entire option here of socialism, an entire wing that has nothing to do with authoritarianism or killing anybody, which is basically libertarian socialism. And as far as I've been educated by other leftists or whatever, there is a shitload of things that you can do. The whole point of libertarian socialism is to create a parallel social structure to the point that the state is not even needed. There is so much to do, whether you're talking about like homeless outreach, getting cheap food to people, getting cheap housing to people, building community gardens or community housing. There's about a million fucking things to do on the libertarian side. And the fact, I know he's not like a particularly thoughtful guy, but the fact that nobody in his circle of fucking leftists have been like, hey, bro, you're going to catch some fucking flack for moving into West Hollywood for a $3 million mansion. Maybe consider investing in the libertarian side since you're not as interested in memeing about killing landlords. And the fact that that's not something that one of his friends did literally makes me think that he has shitty fucking friends.
Well, I think he hangs out with all the other big Twitch streamers. I don't know how many actual, dyed-in-the-wool socialists and communists and Marxists he actually hangs out with. I mean, who he keeps company is irrelevant, but like...
No, fuck that, because I want to point something out. If Mike from PA fucking simps for Hasan at this point, whatever shred of fucking credibility that guy had left, I will fucking lose. Like fuck that. You're talking to fucking Destiny about how he doesn't know what a fucking TIF is and sewer socialism and all this bullshit. And meanwhile, your fucking boy is fucking buying a mansion when he's fucking talking about socialism. Get the fuck out of here.
So here's like an interesting angle. So if we all agree that he's basically he's been corrupted by the system, he lost whatever radical edge he had or pretended to have because that was the way to make the most money and viewers at that point, and now it can't really support it now that he's got the home. What if we reclassify him as the 14th angel, whatever? Reclassify him as a bank, right? So we have this whole fucking rhetoric of like, bank flying a pride flag, right? And it's like, okay, well, this isn't good, it's hypocritical, whatever. Fuck that. I think it's good. Blank flying a rainbow flag. Oh, they're firing a lot of their LGBTQ workers. Oh, that means that their hypocrisy is public. They've made a statement. This is something that we can actually hold their feet to the fire for because they've said that they're going to do a certain thing and they're not doing it. If they weren't going to say it, we wouldn't have any leverage. But now we have some leverage, right? Maybe that's what we do with Hasan. So we say, okay, well, you're this big $3 million corporation or whatever, how much money he has. You're flying a rainbow flag. Not only that, you have this whole lefty Twitch stream. So what do? We just figure out a way to bully him into doing whatever it is that we think is good, something mutualist, something co-op, something outreachy.
I'm not a leftist, but yes, and like for y'all, I wish you luck in bullying Hasan into doing something positive with his money, because frankly, I've seen a lot of really cringy and embarrassing shit on twitter.com. Watching fucking Hasan Sims fucking do mental gymnastics through flaming fucking hoops in order to fucking stand him actually has been the most embarrassing thing that I've seen. And I've been on Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch for like 1.5 to 2 years now. It's fucking impressive.
Yes. I completely agree with you, mate. You're completely right. And, the fact that these people profess like Marxist or leftist or whatever, engaging in no kind of critique or structural, I'm not saying you have to go after Hasan, but there's a structural critique, and I've made it on this panel. There's a structural critique you can make, in terms of being subsumed and stuff like that. People don't want to do that. They just want to fucking stand this guy. And that is an issue linked to parasocial relationships. So, and I think that's a big problem, and it fucks up lefty shit. Anyway,
but we always talk about systems. We always talk, like in lefty spaces, we're talking about systems and how systems have the real power, right? Systems, institutions have the real power and not individuals, right? But we're saying this individual has so much power, right? And look, this man is very wealthy. There's no two ways about it, right? He's very wealthy, but that he has so much power to make such a significant change. Does he?
But all I'm saying is, if people don't want to criticize Hasan individually because they got a fucking simping for him, you can still make a structural critique that doesn't actually critique Hasan. There's two different ways you can go about it, right? So, you don't have to go down the individualist route. I'm just saying that there are ways you can critique this that are relevant and are pertinent and engage in an analysis of the ways in which the system fucks with us all. Anyway.
So I don't think that Hasan Piker and his $2.7 million home and however many hundreds of thousands of dollars he's making a year can really do shit in the grand scheme of things. I mean, he can, unless maybe he's canvassing locally, then he can put a lot of money behind his local.
You're trapped in the bubble of only thinking about electoral politics, right? There's lots of things you can do outside of electoral politics that aren't just going and shilling for the DNC. Some of the stuff even Counterpoints was saying, you can set up this fucking housing thing, or you can set up a tenants union, right? And you can have a radical org. And I'm not talking about let's go and LARP or something like that. But stuff that's outside of the system.
So with all due respect to Hasan Piker, I wouldn't trust him. Just from what I've seen, I wouldn't trust him to be a landlord's or some co-ops, the head of some co-op or some shit, or to make a co-op or to know anything about business.
You can be the bank.
On how to run a successful co-op. I don't know. So
go ahead.
Yeah,
Jan.
just add to Captain Joe's. Let's go to how Hasan Piker became this big in the first place. He was into his uncle owns the white Young Turks news organization or corporation, and then he got a job there through nepotism, and then eventually he left, started his own stream with the audience that he gained from TYT, and eventually got into some controversy, specifically one of them with Dan Crenshaw, that eventually showed up to even bigger SNL content, and that clout got him to where he is now today. So like eventually, we can say that the structure of how that person like Hasan got into his position now is pretty bad, and we don't like nepotism, right? Like my uncle owns this place, so now I get this audience, and
But
it ends up making that.
but I mean, like, okay, I'm not I'm not a fan of nepotism, certainly, right? But like in the end, people get opportunities in many different ways, right? It just happens, right? Like and it's happened to many of you here on the screen, right? You've known someone. It may not have been a family member, but you've known someone who gave you the opportunity, or put you in touch with someone who gave you opportunity, right? Like that's how it happens, unfortunately, right? So to say that, well, like there's something wrong with Hasan for building his empire off the back of the fact that his uncle gave him an opportunity. I don't know. I don't know.
No,
I mean,
he retained his audience based off of his own skill and charm. Like his uncle could have, his uncle could have handed him the opportunity. But the reason why, so for instance, it's really hard to build an audience. It's super fucking hard to build an audience. And not only is it hard to build a fucking audience, it's hard to retain them as you move from interest to interest. If they like you for one thing, if they like you for being a monkey banging fucking two cymbals together, they only want to see the cymbals. They don't want you to play the drums or the guitar or the bass. They just want to see the fucking cymbals, right? So basically that's really frustrating as a content creator, right? So Hasan has a talent. He has a charm. He was handed an opportunity, maybe through some level of nepotism, but he's been able to retain his audience because he has something, right? He has something that works for him. The frustration though, so that's a separate statement.
My critiques to the system specifically.
Sure. But at the same time, I don't think we really have a better one. And if you look at like socialist nations or big state capitalist authoritarian nations, they fall into similar levels of like nepotism. It seems to be a part of human nature. But anyways, hold on. I wanted to come back to you. The reason why like individualists or communitarians get so frustrated with like the collective critique from like socialists, we're like, well, we can't really expect one individual to make any kind of change, is because everything starts with a fucking individual. Even the goddamn leftist fucking revolution started with Marx or Mao or Stalin or Lenin, and then they built a fucking cult of personality or a fucking audience or whatever, and they started doing shit based off of a collective attention to their ideas. So when I hear a collectivist being like, well, we can't really hold people accountable because individuals can't change anything. The only thing that's ever changed anything through fucking history is individuals articulating their ideas to their communities, and then the communities deciding that's a good fucking idea. Let's go ahead and do it. Yeah. And by the way, finally, fucking Hasan does not have to do any of this shit. He doesn't have to do any of this shit. He can find people who are smarter than him, who don't fucking sit around playing video games and cooming all day, to do it for him. But he has money and wealth and clout and power, and pretending 35,000 eyeballs and $500,000 fucking dollars of liquid income is powerlessness. Get the fuck out of here. This is like 100 times more power than any of us are going to achieve in the next decade. So acting like he's impotent is fucking insane.
No, it's true. No, Counterpoints. Sorry, go on.
Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, so Counterpoints. Are you alluding to this whole point of that because they're great men in history? Is that your entire thesis here?
Yes, I think Hasan is the next Mao Zedong. No. I think he's going to lead us to the next.
They wrote books.
You caught me.
Hasan is the Lenin of today. Okay.
Then if you're talking about that in a historical manner, like great men history is very productive to the whole entire system, as we can describe through how these men end up coming to power in the first place. So we have to talk about the people who put him there, and understandably why they even follow such.
The thing is, Marxism and whatnot, and dialectical materialism. It's about understanding material conditions of the world and how they primarily push things forward. I think it's a mistake though to think that like, oh well, what can an individual do? Gramsci actually has a quote about this, and it's about having a pessimism of the mind, but optimism of the will. So that's about within yourself. having the optimism to push forward with your ideas, you know, and trying to move things forward. So, you know, I think it's a bit simplistic to just throw your hands up and go, what can an individual do? Well, you know, when you do accumulate power and wealth, that puts you in a different position, and, you know, have the optimism of the will. That's it.
It's really hard.
I think that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Bix.
You go ahead, Kat.
Oh, thank you. So I want to actually be really sympathetic to this argument, because I actually kind of agree that there's definitely, I mean, theoretically, if he was motivated enough, he wouldn't really need that much money. He could do a lot of the things that you know, socialists espouse with like co-ops and stuff like that. So like, but I do want to kind of bring it back to like this. It feels like to me some of the argument that is being put forward right now is kind of this pie argument, and the pie doesn't expand, and like it doesn't really matter that. And Hasan's just not, he doesn't have enough money to really make a difference. $2 million net worth is just not enough money to make a difference, unless you're talking on like a local level. If he wants to fund like 1 or 2 homeless encampments, Jesus Christ, homeless shelters. Thank you. Nobody's funding the encampments, for the record. I think that's part of the problem. So you know, he's never, but in the end, his individual impact is extremely negligible.
Okay, fuck this and fuck this mentality. Okay, and the reason why I say that is because literally there's a parable. It's like a modern parable, and it's like a young boy. He's like 12 years old or something like that. He's walking down the beach, and there's like a whole bunch of starfish that have washed up, literally hundreds or thousands of them. Okay, and he's throwing them back into the fucking ocean, and an old man fucking walks up and he's like, you know what you're doing really doesn't matter, right? There's thousands more that you could possibly throw back to the ocean. So that, you know, most of these starfish are just going to die. You're wasting your time. And literally the boy, undeterred, fucking picks up another starfish, throws it in the fucking ocean, and it says it mattered to that one. And the fucking point of that entire parable is you're saying that, like, oh, well, Hasan, the fucking, you know, millionaire with fucking $500,000 of liquid fucking income, can't do shit on a fucking scale. Fuck that. He could literally be a fucking symbol to a whole bunch of fucking rich goddamn champagne fucking socialists and hypocritical fucking lefties and progressives across the United States of fucking America, that you don't have to be this fucking DNC fucking simp where you just suck fucking dick once you get rich enough in order to stay within the power structure. He could literally change the fucking narrative about what rich lefties do once they get into fucking power. And instead, he's playing into the same fucking dynamic that every fucking liberal and progressive does. And by the way, the stuff that makes righties shit blood, okay? Because you know what righties say? Righties fucking say that people are at their core self-serving pieces of shit who only look after themselves. And all you can do ultimately is try to encompass some kind of personal good and affect your immediate surroundings. That's the right-wing individualistic take. So a bunch of fucking collectivists taking a right-wing approach in order to fucking excuse leftists not doing shit with the minimal amount of fucking power they have. When are you going to have enough fucking power to implement anything with that kind of fucking attitude?
So I'm not sure.
And this is
This
true.
is true.
Hold on, I'm not sure if I-
This is bang on.
I'm not sure if I would call profit motive a right-wing approach, but okay.
Well, so
I don't
so
know
here's the
what's
thing.
the
So we can bring this back around a little bit. So right, so we can criticize Hasan, right? He's got some amount of money now. He's got some amount of followers now. Why doesn't he start doing things in the real world? If we want to be real, I mean, can't we turn that lens back on ourselves?
Listen, that one homeless person, there's hundreds, thousands more like him. Don't worry about it, because your impact doesn't matter. That starving family, don't do anything about it. It doesn't matter. There's hundreds of thousands more starving people. That that you know, cooperative fucking project that you want to get off the ground, well, it's probably going to fail. So you might as well not even bother, because capitalism is such a nefarious, manipulative machine that there's no point in trying to make the world a better place, because you're just going to be subsumed by the fucking machine anyways. Then what? Sorry, the fucking Captain A. Jones. I know you want to get back into this shit, but then But my whole thing is this is existentially fucking stupid for what all of us do on a goddamn daily basis. Literally, like half the people in this fucking panel spend 20 hours a week arguing ideas in front of fucking people, hoping to convince them that eventually they will fucking change their minds and start implementing real and positive change within their own fucking lives. So to fucking say, you individually, once you have a minuscule amount of power, you might as well not do shit because ultimately you're not going to change a fucking thing. Well, I've just been wasting 20 hours a week of the past 6 months of my fucking life trying to convince people of the exact fucking opposite. So, all right.
Well,
So,
you know,
so I'm just gonna say, hold on, Dad, hold on.
I'm out.
I just have to
Oh,
say,
my God.
hold on, Dad. I gotta respond to that.
Don't you dare leave. It's gonna fuck up my.
Hey, just one
Captain,
quick,
hold on,
just
hold
one.
All right, Dan, you got something quick, and then we'll go to
quick.
Captain.
Yeah, I doubt you could even convince people to join and become civic nationalists. So
Okay,
I got a few hundred to
No,
a few
this-
thousand in
no,
my
this-
chat, and they
no.
weren't here 6 months ago. I'll tell you that.
Counterpoint, no, listen,
So-
counterpoint, even
so-
me and Counterpoints have got some disagreements in certain areas. Counterpoint is absolutely right. You know, it's this fucking pessimism that people engage in. And yeah, I'm not fucking about that. The people that have fucking done shit in terms of like leftist history, absolutely have fucking, you know, gone out there and look, you know, we have to consider material circumstances, all that kind of stuff. But, you know, this is why, and this is where I might start to get a bit fucking spicy for some people. You need strong leaders in movements. You need the people whose material circumstances have put them in a position where they've got the personality, they can be extroverted, and they can actually lead movements to do things. If you look at great moments in history, there are people that have risen up as a result of their circumstances and have led these movements. So that should be the people that the streamers that are getting big, these are the people that are primed to do that. But they don't seem to want to be interested in that. They just want to go, okay, I'll go live in a nice mansion now. So it's a shame. It's a real shame. And there's a systemic issue at play. There's incentives at play. We need to figure that out so we can change it so we don't have this keep happening. That's it.
So I gotta say, I've clarified a lot, but Counterpoints has a way of doing this where he frames everything, and I'm gonna say it again, in a black and white framework where it has to be this do or die, and it's like this all or nothing. You know what I mean? And I never said that he couldn't have an impact. I actually said the exact opposite. I said that on a local level, with the amount of money he has, on a local level, he could have an impact. First of all, and then second, I really think it's funny how everyone keeps saying, like, oh, the next Marx, Christ's sake, Hasan Abi is not the next revolutionary figure. He is not the next. He's not the next person that we're gonna like. He's not gonna get fucking elected to shit. He's not gonna do anything fucking politically that we give a shit about. Have you seen Hasan Piker? Yeah.
Hasan is
Okay.
my
So
Chad.
you say like do all this shit. He's a fucking naive 30-year-old. Who cares? He's just another person with a couple $1 million in this country. He's nothing in comparison. Like, okay, yeah, he has a bunch of people who watch his stream, and we've already called out the kind of hypocrisy of like espousing socialist views and having so much money. But like in the end, you guys are acting like what is he supposed to do? Take his $2 million that he's earned and just give it all away? And then what didn't
nobody said
no one is saying
like
that.
you don't even know it's going to even happen. It's not like you're going to sacrifice a goat and look at his intros and say, Hasan is going to be president in 2032. It's like come on, man.
Yo, with friends like these, y'all don't even need fucking enemies. I swear to God. Like the right wing, instead of shitting blood over fucking CRT and fucking Antifa fucking super soldiers, we could literally just kick back and let y'all fucking eat each other. Because literally all I fucking heard here
for their daddies. That's what
Counterpoints.
Motherfucking I got bingo. I've been sitting there playing Counterpoints bingo, and I got enough shit bloods, right? So bingo, I fucking win. Right, here we go.
Counterpoints. So
Can you trade 5 shit bloods in for
a gastrointestinal problem? If so, I'm sure we can help. Maybe it's your diet. Yeah. I don't. All right.
Listen, if y'all had achieved universal health care, then we wouldn't be in this mess in the fucking first place.
We really fucking tried.
I don't think y'all did. I think one guy tried, and you were like, you might as well not even try. You might as well not even try.
It's not all the left eating the left. That's too impressive.
So hold on. Bernie Sanders, during the campaign, was criticized on these grounds that he had a house. I think it was like $1 million house, though.
But he did stuff. He did stuff, right? Like, it's not a comparison.
And also that I don't think any righty here has said socialism is not achieved when you own a nice house. Like I don't think any righty has fucking asserted that. Like I understand, like if you go onto Twitter or like Adam and Sitch or some shit, by the way, who I like. But like if you go onto their shows, they're gonna be like, you're rich? Well, then you're not a real socialist. Nobody here has said that shit. I at the beginning of the conversation, I said that like socialism is defined as the decommodification of basic human need and the workers owning the means of production. That's all it fucking is. It has nothing to do with the material wealth of the people participating within the society. I don't give a fuck that Hasan has a nice house. I don't give a fuck that Bernie Sanders has a fucking Audi R8 next to his fucking Subaru. I don't give a shit. What I do give a shit about is the fact that the people who have wealth and power use the wealth and power for their espoused principles, or else they're fucking hypocrites. And if they're not hypocrites, they're fucking losers who don't deserve their fucking platform. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
I agree that there's a lot of people who don't deserve their platforms.
Socrates.
Sure. So
I wasn't shooting at any.
Okay. Oh.
Sure.
Well, I fucking was, but go ahead.
So on this note of kind of like community and self-critiquing of like, okay, you know, are we doing something performative? Are we just here for entertainment? Are we really trying to make a difference? I think to some degree, probably espousing these ideals, whatever, trying to both learn and teach at the same time, which is what, you know, anything that we're doing is about. We're trying to learn these concepts as we're trying to teach other people. It's probably useful, but that mentality of, okay, you know, I have this amount of power. I can't do something yet. I need to use this amount of power to grow more power, and then I can do something. That's presumably where Hasan is right now. Where, you know, he'd probably say like, oh, if I had $1 billion, then of course I would, you know, do a bunch of socialisms, right? But, you know, he doesn't have that much money, he doesn't have that much power, so he's not starting doing socialisms. But we have, all of us here, some amount of money, some amount of power. So what are the socialisms that we could do today, like right now? What are the things that we could be doing? We're all Twitch streamers. We're getting, I just got a sub just today.
It's actually, so Socrates, I was actually going to ask a very similar question, which was like, what is everyone doing to put for or like to advance their views, whatever political views that those are? What if anything are they doing, and do people necessarily need to do anything? Because like, and I'll start. So as not to make this like a gotcha, like my political views over the last, holy shit, 4 years have changed a lot. But over the last 10 years, I've gone from being a fucking libertarian, fucking 9/11 is an inside job, crazy conspiracy theorist, to a progressive market something. I'm not really sure. I don't know where I've landed really. I'm still making up my mind on a ton of different issues. So like, I want to be a little charitable. If we should do anything, it's be charitable, like to everyone, including Hasan. Like he's a young, again, I'm just gonna say he's a young dude. He seems kind of like a party bro. What can we possibly expect from him? I don't know. I don't expect shit. And you know what? Here's the one thing I do know. He puts his sub count right on screen. The Bank of Hasan, I love that. He puts his sub count right on screen. I think that's pretty fucking transparent. Nobody else puts their income anywhere else. So, you know, like if you're doing any other job. So I think that's about as transparent as you could possibly get. Who gives a fuck what he gives? And if he wants to buy a house, who gives a fuck?
Throw some pride flags up on there.
He's a dude. I will actually. I forgot to say that. He's definitely a debate. He's definitely a bro. Like look at this face and tell me he's not a bro. Like look at him. That's a bro right there. That guy's gonna go have parties every day at his $3 million.
I have not maligned his fucking beauty.
Just don't do it during COVID. That's just dangerous.
Okay, fuck. All right, so should I actually answer this question? Are y'all ready for a 3-minute rant, or do you not want it? Because I mean, I can literally fucking.
Come on, I'm ready.
Counterpoints, you know I always want it. But let's go.
All right.
Starting the
Okay.
timer.
Okay, so how have I lived my fucking values? Okay. I enlisted in the military when I was 18. I believe in American hegemony. The reason why is because I've seen it up close. I know that it's fucking ugly and it kills people, but at the same time, I think it does a lot of net good on the fucking world stage. And on top of that, I know what our enemies look like. So I basically risked my own fucking life in order to do that shit. I didn't have to do that. My parents were middle class, like upper middle class. So I never had to enlist in the fucking military, but I did anyways. Now, after fucking college, I knew that I wasn't done serving my community. So I became a law enforcement officer. That was another time that I risked my life for my values because I actually wanted to serve my community. While I was a police officer, I tried not to be as little racist or bigoted as possible. I was a libertarian in high school, which basically means that I think the government should interfere in your shit as little as possible. I try to live those principles as a law enforcement officer. So while people were being like violent or breaking into shit or doing drugs or beating the fuck out of people or stealing property, I would absolutely arrest people and maybe yell at them a little bit. But if somebody just did like a nonviolent crime, or if they were kind of chill and they were being nice to me and all that kind of shit, then maybe I would take them to jail if I had to. But if I didn't have to take them to jail, then I didn't. So I tried to be the change that I wanted to see in the world. When I got out of it, I became a critic of law enforcement, not because I think that law enforcement officers are bad, but because I think that we have a problem in this country about intelligently articulating law enforcement to the general public. They basically think that they're a bunch of fucking thugs and goons who like wake up every single day and just think about how to hurt and kill people. That's not what law enforcement is. Mostly there's like 30% of them that are dumb as fuck. There's 30% of them that are average Joes, and there's 30% of them that are the best people that you've ever met in your entire fucking life. And that needs to be communicated to the public. That way they don't see them as like neo-Nazi fucking monsters who are here to fucking destroy your life. But it is a flawed system that needs to be reformed. On top of that, now I'm making a decent amount of money. I've always wanted to do YouTube and, articulate my ideas to the public. I feel like I'm doing pretty well. I just broke 10K. On top of that, what I'm interested in, and part of the reason why I'm interested in monetizing my fucking channel is because I want to take some of that revenue and I want to do communitarian good. I am maybe 15 minutes away from a city called Eatonville. It's a historically black neighborhood. It was literally created by an all black founders. It has all of the systemic issues that we talk about as a society. One of the things that I want to do when COVID is not much of a concern and my wife is no longer concerned about COVID is I want to start going into that community, and instead of basically saying, oh, it's the fucking system, we need to fix the system, we need to do this, we need to do that, we're not going to fucking fix that system by the time I'm dead. I'm in my fucking 30s. By the time we fix the fucking system, I'm going to be 30 years into the fucking grave, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a fucking church and I'm going to say, hey, do you have people in the community, adult or student, who want to be mentored on mathematics or language? I'm a pretty good student. I'm a pretty good academic. So I would like to get people through high school because frankly, I think education is the key for people to be able to escape poverty. So while I can't change the system, maybe I can get a few people out of there. My mother was an English teacher for a really long time. She taught exclusively in rough neighborhoods, including in the city of Eatonville. And as a result, she created entire families that broke the cycle of poverty. So the reason why I'm so fucking offended by people saying that they can't impact their fucking communities is because not only do I know it's not fucking true, but the people I worship and the people that I love don't believe that shit for a fucking heartbeat. And what breaks my fucking heart for y'all is that it seems like leftists have all these highfalutin fucking ideas about how they want to improve society, but they literally can't bring themselves to leave their fucking house or put $1 where their fucking mouth is in order to actually change society. They would rather just blame the fucking CIA and a bunch of fucking rightoid fucking dipshits about why they constantly fail at implementing their fucking ideas.
I mean, that just straw manning the whole left altogether. Everyone's
I don't
different,
care.
as we put into you,
Look,
Connor.
Look, this is
Okay,
what we
I'm
need to
sorry.
do, right? We need to prove Counterpoints wrong. That's the point here, right? I want to see the look on Counterpoints' face when we have fucking some real
I'm
shit
about
going
to.
down.
I'm about to. Okay. This book says otherwise, Connor. It's called Legacy of Ashes, A History of the CIA, and it is, it's a damning rebuttal of anything the CIA has ever done. So I don't know. Sometimes
What
when the
are you, like,
lefties,
community-based
the
CIA?
CIA is behind everything, I truly do go, I truly do have a little sympathy for that argument.
Is that what you got out of my last 3-minute rant? Because the CIA was a very small portion of it.
Connor, I can barely remember past the last 10 seconds. So I was just trying to take the end of what you said and try to relate it to something, because I had a book on it. I was really excited to show you, and now you just, it's fine.
It was exactly
I'll read it
3
for you,
minutes.
baby.
Like, I just want you to know I timed you. It was
It
3
just
minutes.
seems like all y'all do is just prove counterpoints right. I mean,
That wasn't intentional, I promise.
So you're talking about like essentially, are you using Praxis? Like, are you actually doing what you're saying? I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not a political streamer. So do I do I do what I espouse? I suppose so. Yes, to some extent, right? Like, I'm, a feminist and like I don't know, whatever. So there's all this shit that I talk about, and yeah, sure, I practice it. Am I out there like every other, trans streamer, claiming I'm in the military or in like politics or whatever. No, absolutely not. Am I making some small changes on the scope that I'm able to make changes? Sure. Yeah. Am I putting my money in the places that I think it's going to make actual good? Yeah. I mean, whenever I can. I don't make that much money. I mean, I make more money than like somebody working at a grocery store, but I don't make Hasan Piker money, right? So I can't buy a $3 million mansion. I might be able to afford renting an apartment, and so, but do I do the best I can? Absolutely. Like, could I give up my life to go become like some sort of crazy like communist revolutionary? I guess so. But would that actually do any good? Like, I mean, I guess that's kind of the thing for me. I was like, my values or my views, they're not necessarily something that I can go put into practice very easily. And I think Hasan Piker, being a socialist, probably is in a similar spot to some extent. Now, does he have a lot more money and influence than I do? Yes. Is he using that money and influence in the most effective way that he could? Probably not, right? Like, he has more money and influence than I do, and he's using his platform to apparently coom on stream or something. Like, that's not really effective, right? Now, is he maybe going to be able to use that platform effectively? It sounds like, based on what I'm seeing, like that he could. Maybe he should be a little more effective in his platform. Maybe he could use some of the ideas we've talked about here. That may, like for instance, co-ops and such. Perhaps furthering those goals on with his stream would be something that would be a good move after this, right? Like spending lots of money on a mortgage for a house. Maybe you can pivot that, say, yeah, I fucking bought a house. Fuck you guys. Also, we're gonna start this fucking social experiment and see what happens if we do a co-op in this area. I don't know. Like, there's ways he could use his platform effectively, I guess. Like, I definitely hear what you're saying, but you also have like half the panel is really tiny streamers who just have zero influence.
But here's the thing. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I don't expect Hasan to do shit. When I said that he was the next Lenin or Mao or fucking Trotsky or some shit, I was fucking memeing. He's a beautiful coomer. That's what Hasan does. 30,000 people tune in a day in order to watch a beautiful man coom. Okay? So he can continue to coom and funnel money into his wallet, and then he can take 10% of that money and he can give it to people who actually advocate for his politics, who have a use for that money. And he will still be rich as fuck. And he'll still be able to coom. And he'll still be able to live in West Hollywood. But he will put money in the pockets of people who actually advance the political goals that he espouses for. And one of the things that pisses me off the most is basically... Oh, hold up. Tech issue.
Oh, no. What's happening? Connor,
Sorry.
The
you're gonna
leftists
give
have
us-
struck again. This is the CIA for sure.
Oh,
Give
God
us
damn it.
chat
The fucking
balls.
CIA got me. But what he can do, excuse me, is stop radicalizing fucking teenagers and implement some real fucking shit. Okay?
That's it.
Is he
Yeah.
really
All right.
radicalizing teenagers?
I was going to ask that. It doesn't sound like, based on what I know of him, that he's radicalizing teenagers. I mean, it depends on what you define as radicalizing, right?
Okay. Saying that you're going to eye fuck Dan Crenshaw's eye socket is a little rough. Saying that America deserved 9/11 is a little rough. Saying that you're going to kill landlords is what I call hyperbolic. Saying that
Minecraft.
society, oh yeah, that saved it. Okay. All right. Hold on.
Yeah.
I got to go fuck with some tech shit. I'll be right back.
Sorry, I just want to say, like, basically, what this is that we haven't even gotten into this whole other thing, right? Hasan isn't creative. He says he does agitprop. What is he agitating these people to do? To consume more content. And at the moment, it seems the function of leftist content is to just create more consumers. And obviously, they're on platforms which facilitate that with the algorithm. And that's a whole other conversation to get into. It's like, okay, so you're so-called radicalizing these people. Great. But what are they actually doing with that radical thought or perspective, And look, listen, I differ from Counterpoints. I'm all right with a couple of memes about Dan Crenshaw's eye, but they are just that, memes. What is the political reality of what you can get people to do with what you've built,
Is somebody actually going to go out and face? Is somebody actually going to do that? I guess.
Okay, but you'd agree that's not helpful if you're actually trying to make some sort of social change. That's literally just content, right? And like content.
Exactly. I agree with you. I completely agree. Completely
Yeah.
agree with you. And that's the problem. And that's the criticism I'm making, is that it seems that the function of leftist content is just to create more and more consumers. And all of these platforms facilitate that. So yeah,
It's all
Yeah,
content.
I mean,
It's all
yeah,
content.
it's all exactly. That's it.
I would
It's all
agree.
content. You're right. You're
Yeah,
right.
I
And how do we
agree
make
with-
it not content?
I mean, I agree with Alex. Like, a lot of this, I would definitely call this this whole thing shock content on both sides. We see that with Charlie Kirk. We see that with Brendan Greenwald on Twitter, and we see too much of content here to
But no.
get as
Okay,
much
sorry.
viewers on them as possible.
Yeah.
Sorry,
that's
just
Twitch
to
politics.
say, but just to
That's-
say, you know, the thing is with Charlie Kirk is he doesn't give a shit. He's a conservative, so he's happy with that. But lefties are supposed to be pushing radical change, and all that's happening is people are becoming radical content consumers, right? And they're just watching these platforms. So, you know, I don't give a shit about what Charlie Kirk's doing, with all due
But, I
respect.
mean,
you
but
know,
arguably he's being successful at it, right? Like with the with the Turning Point USA.
yeah, but the thing is,
fix
Turning
this
Point
one.
USA. But the thing is, Turning Point USA has got structural power and financial backing. You know, all of these right wing orgs do, and the left don't have that so much. Not unless you want to work with the DNC, and I think that's a mistake if you want to be a radical org. So yeah, it's about thinking. Okay, we've got these people on these platforms, and this is a specific to the left that we need to consider: is how do we get these people actually out and engaging in action that's going to make a difference? You know, because I don't think just a call to action, go and organise, which is what I do, isn't really the thing. I think for me, it's about the people that get to the positions of clout and money. They are the strong leadership that set up orgs that push the fucking movement forward. That's what you need. And you need money and you need time to do that. And that takes time to build. So, you know, yeah, I don't know. That's my take on it.
I don't disagree with all of that, but you also keep saying leftists. It's not just leftists. Everybody in this platform, not just Twitch politics, but like in general, online content creators, all have the same problem, whether they're right wing or not. You know, right wing or left wing
Sure.
or whatever the fuck.
I
they
don't,
are.
you know, with all due respect, I don't really care. The right wing can do what the right wing are going to do. Like, you know,
Yeah,
I'm
and they
concerned
can
as a
kinda
leftist.
fuck
Do you know what I
off,
mean?
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I agree there.
So
Because my focus is on what lefties are going to do
Yeah,
and stuff
they're
like
not
that. But, you know,
effective. We're not effective.
yeah, exactly. The
left is not great.
online left is a fucking joke. Okay, let's be fucking real here. The online left is a joke. A bunch of pretenders, a bunch of fucking larpers. Okay,
True.
Soviet aestheticism. Yeah, waste of time, bullshit. Okay,
I actually agree
we need
with
a
you here.
bold
Well-
vision. We need a bold vision to push things forward, and that's not coming from the online left. It's a load of
Chud, are
fucking
you
bullshit.
saying that you want to become the
sure,
dictator of online
yeah,
left?
but like,
Is
but
that
then,
what this is leading?
which then makes
That's what it
you the
feels
only
like.
one that's relevant. Is that right, Mr. ChudLogic?
Uh-oh.
Oh no, no.
Wait,
don't make
wait,
this
hang on a
fight.
sec. Listen. Don't make this a fight because you're going to fucking lose, my friend. Okay.
I-
Here's the
no.
reality. Okay. I'm not saying. Well, we'll see about that.
Not
I'm not
everyone
saying.
is Mel, right?
No.
Okay,
Mel.
I'm not saying it's about me or
Mel.
anyone else, okay? I'm saying that the people that rise to the top clearly have got the personality and they've clearly got something
Oh,
about them. The material conditions have led them to a position where they're confident and they can push things forward. But they don't. It's not even an individual critique. This is a structural issue where there's incentives at play that lead people to do this. And as the online lefties online, we got to figure that shit out or it's going to keep happening and we're going to be stuck in this fucking capitalist hellscape forever. And that's fucking bullshit. That's it.
Well,
Listen,
Okay,
can
cool.
I-
It's the
get
second
that.
part that I wanted to hear. So just, I was hearing a little bit of doomerism, and I was hoping to hear that second half, which is what you provided, which is that we've got to
Listen.
do better.
Listen,
Just one quick point. Yeah, like I don't like as for like Chud. Like I agree that a lot of it has been very bad. Like we don't want to have a bunch of Mels on the platform. It's kind of disingenuous and kind of dangerous because it doesn't really help the leftist community at all. But as said, like it doesn't like say all leftists are bad or all of it. Like
Okay. I'm not saying all leftists are bad. I'm saying that the online left and the problem is we're on platforms that incentivize this behavior and not only incentivize it, but they benefit from taking radical movements and removing their teeth, right? So we're engaging on these platforms and we need, as lefties, to find new, innovative ways to have a bold vision to push things forward and to try and avoid these pitfalls that others have fallen into in the past. And, you know, all I see, you know, I don't have any control over this, right? All I can do is what I can do on my channel. I'm going to build it. I'm going to build resources and see what I can do myself. But the reality is the online left is a fucking joke. And the sooner people realize that and start to contend with that, the sooner we can maybe start to figure this stuff out and move forward.
Okay.
listen, guys.
I can.
All right, go
So,
ahead.
listen.
Counter, and then Captain.
Listen, I want to be very transparent and very honest with y'all. Okay. I had 2 veggie hot dogs. And I had heartburn. That was my technical issue. And I thought Prime had finally killed me on his panel. I thought it was a heart attack, and y'all had finally made me stroke out. And that's what fucking happened. So I just want to be dead honest with y'all.
sucks getting old, doesn't it?
Oh boy.
Oh my god.
All right.
Tell me about it.
In fact. Oh, okay. Captain Jones' last point, and then we'll move on to our next topic.
No, let's just move on.
Okay. So it means it was just about the meme. Okay. Yeah, you.
Yeah, I would.
Never.
Oh my God.
Okay, I'm sure.
Slanderous accusations being thrown
Definitely not
around.
adding a
Slander.
pride flag to my Hasan background. That's not what I'm doing right now.
Okay.
We have
Did
no
you whip
meaning.
that up just like during? Because that's
Yes.
I got really excited when that came up.
Yeah.
While commenting on what you guys are talking about as well, actually.
So Socrates has a lot in common with you. I think you guys could be good friends, if not already. This is Zen rearranging of your visuals. He loves it. He loves it. So we're like making connections here. Okay. So before we go on to our next topic, just remember my audience. If you haven't done so
On the flagpole.
already, follow the channel. Follow the channel. Make sure notifications are on because I do this all the time. There's a lot of people who are new here, who are watching this, haven't been here before. If you've been enjoying this, hit that follow button. Hit that follow button right now. Make sure notifications are on so you know I'm going live. I do this 6 nights a week. Never miss a stream here. Always got content for you. Enjoy any of that. Hit that follow button right now. Also, !social in chat. To follow us on social media, follow us on Twitter for occasional drama. Follow us on Discord. So that's the heart and soul of our community. Jump into our Discord. That's where we do everything. We have all kinds of conversations always happening here on Discord. Don't want you to miss out. So yeah, if you want to be part of the community, definitely jump into our Discord and go to our YouTube. YouTube is where our VODs live. If you're looking for VODs here of past stuff, you won't find them. Most of them. I won't find them. That all exists on YouTube. So go to our YouTube, subscribe, like, and comment. And it'll be a big help to us, and you'll appreciate it because you get to see all of our back catalog. It's a lot of good stuff there. Okay, one more thing. After the Reverie, we're gonna have like a very important channel announcement, very important channel update. It's gonna be happening after the Reverie, so stick around for that. We'll always have more content afterwards, but yeah, we'll have a very, very important channel update. So please stick around for that part. All right, let's go to the next topic. A recent editorial from NBC News equates QAnon followers to opioid addicts. It claims that QAnon gives people constant hits of extreme emotions, which they get addicted to. Is this a better lens to view this conspiracy movement? Could we actually design public policy that would address this problem by using this lens? What does this mean on the political stage? Or are we just pathologizing and infantilizing QAnon followers in an unhelpful manner? So yeah, I saw this article, and I thought, it seemed useful. I mean, like, as I was reading it, I'm like, okay, I can see where you're coming from. Saying that these QAnon people are like, they're like constantly like raging out on what's happening in the world, right? Thinking that shadows are everywhere, right? The shadows are moving out to get them, and that there is some sort of pleasure also from like solving like the mysteries, right? So like they think there's like all these mysteries happening because there's like that shadowy organizations, and so like they're exposing them, and it's like I feel so smart when I do it, you know. So there's lots of things that go on, and I could see the idea of us of them getting addicted to something like this, but like is that actually useful for us in any other manner? Like is it just a fun thought process, right? Thought experiment to look at it that way, or is this a useful perspective for doing really anything with QAnon? All right, so we'll get the perspective of our amazing guest. Start with Alice after all.
I'm gonna get water.
Oh man, see, I muted myself in multiple places. I always do that. So this is the one that I actually thought was kind of cool because I did some research into this. So first off, Calliopean Club, I'm gonna simp for it again. I've interviewed somebody about this topic actually. I've actually interviewed somebody who does research into this exact type of topic, about why people become radicalized and why people fall for this type of shit, essentially. So I have some articles that I can send you, in chat to our friendly neighborhood chat over there, who's going to doubt everything I'm about to say. But essentially, people fall for conspiracy theories via like psychological effects. People are not as smart as you think they are, and people are not as dumb as you think they are. Essentially, these people that fall for conspiracy theories, they're not idiots. They're just falling for some really, really common like psychological tricks. First off, people think that they know what a pattern actually is when they see just a small section of it. And then people also people tend to essentially instead of seeing randomness and things that are random, they tend to see what they think is a predefined phenomenon. They think, if I got a coin flip 7 times in a row, that must mean it was predetermined or something of that nature. I'll get a heads again or whatever. People make up these effects that don't actually exist. And the point of mentioning all of these things is that just essentially people are human, and people fall for conspiracy theories because they are human, because they fall for these simple psychological tricks. The other side of this coin, though, is that why do they keep going down this path, right? Why do they fall for this conspiracy theory shit and then keep falling for it? And the answer to that is a little bit of the dopamine hit that you do get, right? And then also the fact that all of the media that we have, all the Facebook and YouTube and such, they literally monetize this radicalization and this conspiracy theory shit. They literally get money if they show people who are into conspiracy theories more fucking conspiracy theories. So it's literally just a self-perpetuating cycle. Humans we're not built to question these things. Once we make this assumption and this connection, we don't question it. And when we're not challenged, which we're not now because social media just wants to keep feeding us our dopamine hits, then we'll never challenge it. And that's essentially the reason for this effect. So is it infantilizing? No, people are just fucking human. And people fall for this shit because that's how our brains work. Our brains love to think that there's a pattern. And that's really that's what this is. Conspiracy theories are just us seeing a pattern where there is not one. And the fact that we have trouble questioning our own thinking in the best of circumstances, but when we're just fed more and more and more information that we think is backing up our incorrect thoughts here, it's just gonna essentially self-perpetuate. So it's a big fucking cycle. And it's not really the people who believe in conspiracy theories' fault so much as it is a big kind of system that's going on here. Lots of stuff there.
Okie dokie. All right. ChudLogic.
I'm going to start with a quote. This is a quote from Aldous Huxley. I'm going to read it out. The surest way to work up a crusade in favour of some good cause is to promise people they will have a chance of maltreating someone, to be able to destroy with good conscience, to be able to behave badly and call your bad behaviour righteous indignation. This is the height of psychological luxury, the most delicious of moral treats. So how does that apply here? So I think that people that are involved in cults, in QAnon, etc., they are victims of propaganda and victims of their circumstances. Whilst they cause harm, I think that we ought to just be considerate of the fact that they're not inherently bad people. And I don't necessarily have the answers for how we go about solving some of these issues. Infantilizing is a problem. If you start to treat them like drug addicts, is that going to push them further down the rabbit hole? I don't have all the answers. But one thing I do know is that we ought to approach this with compassion, with sensitivity, and always recognizing the inherent humanity in other people. And that's it.
Okay. Counterpoints.
QAnon is CIA disinformation. To distract you from the fact that Jeffrey Epstein was caught basically selling underage prostitutes to some of the world's most powerful people. This includes Alan Dershowitz, Bill Clinton, probably Donald Trump, and quite a few others. So even if it's not specifically corroborated that they had sex with underage prostitutes, chances are that there were people who actually did have sex with underage prostitutes, and this was used as political leverage both for money and clout. So basically what I would say is, if we're going to talk about Q and conspiracy theory and all that kind of shit, part of the reason why it's so powerful is because just like every conspiracy theory, there's a kernel of truth to it. So I'm not so much interested in basically calling the dumb fucks. That's true. What I would actually be curious with people exploring is the actual parts of this that are factual, the parts that are corroboratable, not just by me, random twitch.tv dumb fuck, but by common news sources. And I can see all the eyebrows going up because basically they're like, holy shit, is this guy Q? No, I'm not Q. But basically, I would like to get into why this conspiracy theory specifically that the elite have sex with and possibly murder underage children. While that's probably not true, the truth is that rich and powerful people probably do have sex with underage prostitutes in order to gain leverage over each other. Probably is true, and that's what lends itself credence to this conspiracy theory.
Captain A. Jones.
Okay, wow. Before Connor just went completely off the rails right there, I have to hand it to you though, buddy. Like, that
I
was
promise.
brave. That was
I-
brave. As a former conspiracy theorist, I felt every single one of the things that you just said. And I have to agree with Chud. I do want to come at this from a place of compassion. Because I used to be a conspiracy theorist, so it'd be a little hypocritical of me to be like, well, you can't change. I used to have some fucking atrocious views, horrible takes. You think I have dog shit takes now? Oh, buddy, you would have hated me back then. Like
being a racist.
Like, there you go. Well, like,
I'm saying you're not really.
yeah, it's fine. But like, I would also like to say that yes, all those things are 100% true. As somebody who was a conspiracy theorist, like, you get literal fucking jitters when people when you think you know something that other people don't. Anyway, I'll pass it on.
Yeah, a chatter has asked me to tell you, Connor, not to call them child prostitutes because it implies some level of consent. Instead, sex slaves, child sex slaves. I don't know. I think that's fair enough.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. And also, like, everyone does that, rich and poor. Unfortunately.
Language police out. Fuck off, language police. Shut the fuck up.
Oh boy. All right. Critically thinking Valoran. Oh, and thank you for the he's doing his dramatic pause. So I have plenty of time to thank Tavit for gifting 2 iTunes gifts to the channel. Thank you so much. Okay. All right, and we wait for the words.
Bro beans.
I mean, I figure since the 2 times that I tried to talk during the last topic, I was just ran over. At least this way, you all know who's owning the mic right now. So whenever y'all want to like start talking about something that requires critical thinking, then I'll jump in. But so far, this has been fucking boring, and the memes have not been there. Your fucking games are weak. The audience is sitting here suffering. They're like, yeah, I mean, like, these are some good points, but make me fucking laugh, right? I'm here to be entertained. What the fuck? I mean, I hear the same fucking ideas for the last fucking year. Entertain me with some fresh memes. That's what the audience is screaming for. That's what y'all need to provide.
Thank you for that deep insight. As always, CTV.
Is this for a meme, CTV? It's really good to see you. It's been a while, bud.
This is a fresh meme behind me. This is the freshest meme you can have. This is the newest meme.
Literally off the press. It's steaming.
Off the press. It's actually still hot.
I was talking about child sex slaves and how QAnon was partially true 10 seconds ago. What the fuck are we doing?
Actually, you weren't. You were talking about something else, and then you had the language police correct you, and then you just corrected your language. That's what just
All right, let's move on. Alice, I love my gay pride fresh out of the oven. Smells nice. Let's go to. Okay. I was gonna say something before when I edited my mind, right? Because I was gonna say something. I was gonna say that sentence without the pride, and I'm like, no, that's bad. Actually, don't say that. All right, let's go to. Don't do that. Let's go to Biggs.
Yeah, so I agree with a lot of what the panel said so far. I think we need to come at this from a place of compassion, like Alice and Chud said, and Cap and everybody. But one thing that I think that is a little deeper than that even, and I think Alice kind of alluded to it a little bit with, saying that people aren't, as smart as they think they are and stuff like that. But I think the people that are the most over the top with this may have actual real like mental issues that we really need to deal with, and I think that that's something that can really help with that, because a lot of these people, like, the more you try to assuade them to other views, the more they're going to push back, because they're so like deep in their own heads with everything that they just can't, they just can't get what's actually happening. They can't realize what's actually happening. And then I think there's a level that are just like people that are like on the like counterpoints here, like just on the edge of like some of this stuff is true, but we don't know exactly what. But hey, like that's fine. But we do need to see what is actually happening with some of these things, because obviously, like Counterpoint said, there is some kernels of truth in all this stuff. To what extent it is, that's what we might want to find out. But we really need to treat some of the more like over the top radical people with very carefully, because these are the kind of people that you can very easily push over the edge, and that's not what we want to do. We want to bring these people back from the edge. We want to bring them back into the actual reality of society here, and actually get them thinking like, hey, maybe this isn't the most logical or reasonable ideas to have, and I just think that if we can approach that way, through mental health, or getting people just people to talk to outside of these like echo chambers of conspiracy, I think that might be something we could do too. But yeah, like you guys all said, compassion's key here. Just get these people the help that they need.
Okay, thank you. Dan.
Conspiracies in the United States have not been new. They have been around since the conception of the American government. Famous people like Thomas Jefferson, for his time, was a conspiracy theorist with all his views on the Illuminati and whatnot. And then we have other people who have been in power, even also like Abraham Lincoln had a like really into the conspiracy theories too. But we have to think to that time, and it still exists. However, as we go to now in this world age of information, like we have to consider how these conspiracy theories back then were not as dangerous to the ones now. Whenever you have people who believe that the worst is nigh, and they have to do something, or they will take over the world, or they already took over the world when they take it back, and a lot of the ways I think that we could only effectively get them out of this mindset or beliefs that are considered to be harmful for many of the people around them is do what have deep deprogramming have done for many years. Not the old style. We're not doing kidnapping people, but try to do it through compassion and thought provoking, and at least try to get them to get to your position in a way that be will be putting to your position and understanding where they will end up coming to the conclusion than to forcing them to be that to forcing them to believe that. And and a lot of that we can do is through simply maybe not bringing it up in the news that much, or to at least try to not say to these people, "Oh, you're crazy," or other forms of demonization. That's what I would say.
Thank you, Socrates.
Capitan, mon Capitan. It's funny because I'm just rewatching Breaking Bad, and it's got the same guy as John Delancey. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of pitfalls here, right? Because absolutely, like a kind of medicalizing, patronizing, like, oh, these poor people, whatever. You're kind of glossing over the real, the real meaning authentic issues that both a lot of these people are having specifically, even though I think a lot of them are like middle class, whatever. A lot of them maybe have gone through like bad divorces, losing homes, whatever. In addition to mental health issues, you're glossing over a lot of the real world problems that we're having. So, I mean, we are living on a planet that's heating up, and on its current course will become uninhabitable. Scary stuff going on. There's a lot of like extremism and war. We feel like we've kind of lost control over our political process. So it's maybe spiraling out of control, and it's deadlocked all at the same time. This is what people are kind of feeling. So people feel very powerless. They feel like the world around them is manipulated, and a lot of these things are true. And they're looking for some narrative where they can be warriors in the struggle, rather than the civilians in disaster movies who are just having buildings fall on them and tanks crush at them and whatever. They want to be the ones at least driving the tanks, holding the guns. So I think you could blame the fact that the solutions that people put forward aren't kind of authentic. So for global climate change, global warming, even democratic politicians who are ostensibly believe in it, are for doing something about it, aren't really doing anything, right? And so you live in this. People live, we all live in this kind of world in which there are big problems, but they're not really being addressed as big problems, right? So we just pulled out of Afghanistan. We were there for 20 years. The Afghanistan war, the Iraq war, we didn't live as if we were in war. During World War II, people were asked to like give up buying like products with aluminum or whatever because we needed that for the war effort. This was like a war without a war that we've grown up. I mean, me 2/3 of my life, people who are serving there who were born after 9/11 happened. So there's a lot of cognitive dissonance. It's understandable why people are falling for these right-wing conspiracies, just as lots of us are falling for these left-wing conspiracies and getting wrapped up in Marx and all these ideologies, right? People are getting kind of ideological in a certain way. So my guess is that it's funny, Prime subconsciously, I think you found something that's actually linked about these when you put these two topics together. That really Praxis is what kind of frees us from all of this, right? Because doing something in the real world, is something that allows people to build a community and feel like you're making a difference. And clearly, there's people who felt strongly enough they needed to do something in the real world that was like, let's storm the Capitol, right? And people don't have other options. Some people will end up in these really, really extreme places. So some kind of like community projects that people can work in, none of that really exists. And so it's understandable how people end up here.
Okay, open to the panel.
All right, so the reality from the start of all of this is that you say, Socrates, right, that there's a problem that we may be losing control of our government, and that somehow all of you fucking idiots in the room advocating for socialism think the very thing that you need to do, right, is give the government more motherfucking control. If you're already losing control of it, why give it fucking more? Why not let private charity fucking do that? And at least that way you'll be able to get at the ground fucking level instead of having to go through all of these other fucking processes and corruption to get there. But nah, y'all just sit back on your fucking laurels and watch Hasan's fucking dumbass in $1 million fucking mansion, right? Like, well, let's just make up all kinds of excuses for him, right? That's all I heard the last fucking
You're
hour.
right, you're just
Wait,
so
who's
many.
made
You're so
excuse?
many.
Right?
Who the fuck's made excuses?
I don't know why the fuck you think this fucking talk is just gonna make me stop
CTV,
talking.
CTV, this is recycled material. This is recycled bait.
Whoa, let CTV finish his rant.
I've tasted this
no,
bait.
CTV.
Thank you,
He's
Prime.
chatting shit.
Now, there is no way in almighty fuck that you can be sitting here saying socialism is good, let's give the government more power, and that we're possibly losing control of our fucking government. None of the shit y'all say makes fucking sense, which is why you sit here for an hour and you get to the end of it and go, well, I didn't learn a fucking thing. Nobody fucking did, right? So from here, when it comes to conspiracy theory, understand that most of these things probably start with a mistrust of the government. So these things definitely move along right and fucking left lines, depending on how it is that you view the fucking world. But at the end of it, if you're actually wanting to get the kind of change that you want, it's not going to come because you gave the government more fucking power. It's going to be because you got your ass up off the couch and you went and did something about it.
So
Okay,
CTV, here's the thing. So just really quickly, and then I'll pass it off. But we talk about like power, giving government power, whatever. Here's the thing. I think government should have a lot more power to create a lot more jobs. I think government should have a lot less power to spy on all of us all of the time and jail American citizens for literally no reason, or for association with extremist forces, right? So this kind of like blanket, like government should have more power, less power. It's not really about that. I think the government should do more good things and fewer bad things.
Okay, so I just want to say, I mean, obviously he's fucked
My
off
base
somewhere, so I don't know what the fuck's that about. But anyway, listen, here's the fucking
He can hear you.
situation, okay? Socialism isn't fucking when the government does stuff, okay? It's about who controls the government and who operates the government, okay? But anyway, forget that shit. I'm not interested in fucking getting that stupid conversation, okay? There's some truth in what he's saying in that fucking unhinged, absurd rant, and that is that, yes, these people have been let down by society, okay? You don't get to believe that fucking Joe Biden is raping demons or whatever the fuck it is these people believe without having something terrible happen to you that leads you to these positions, okay? And people point to it and they go, oh, but they got a bit of money here, but it doesn't fucking matter, okay? It doesn't fucking matter. The reality is these people have been let back down by society. So guess what? It's society's responsibility to do things to correct this and to fix it. So that's the fucking real deal. There we go.
No,
Yeah, and
I was sorry, really quickly. I was told by Dr. Richard Wolff that socialism is when the government does things, and the more it does things, the more socialist it is, and when it does a whole lot of things, that's communism. So basically, ChudLogic, you're full of fucking shit. I'm literally citing the leftist academic authority on socialism.
That was, you know, that was
he's
a meme though, right? That was a meme.
Professor.
But that was a meme, okay? Obviously.
No.
So CTV was.
It's real. You can't convince me otherwise. It's a conspiracy. You're trying to hide the truth. That's what you're doing.
True. Fucking true.
John Delancey. Okay, now I just got it. Okay, because it's Q. He's Q. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry. Waiting. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
When I put this background on, Captain Jones over there just starts breaking down. I'm like,
That was so good.
Someone.
That was
got
so
it.
fucking
I
good.
didn't want him. I'll be right back.
I do love Blaine. He's amazing. He's just,
So I'm gonna try to
Go ahead.
I'm gonna try to drag this back around to the original topic because it's
Q from Star Trek, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, the original
So-
topic. Yeah.
So now that all of Star Wars is out, definitively say Star Trek is better than Star Wars. Anyway,
shots fired.
So CTV, I hate that CTV's not here when I'm saying this, but whatever.
He can
But-
still hear you.
He
He has
can
one
hear
of the
you.
headphones.
Okay, cool. So CTV was almost correct. He said that it was that things start off with a mistrust of government, but then this is just anecdotally from my own personal experience and like experience being in conspiracy circles. This starts off with a distrust of authority, which starts off usually with your parents, which starts off usually, you know, or like the family around you, or the people, just the people around you. You know, it doesn't have to be parents. A lot of people don't have parents, so or you know. So I kind of want to bring it back. Like, yeah, Chud's totally right. This is like not only has society failed,
No,
them,
you don't
but
get
like
to
the people
somehow
are.
psychoanalyze me
but-
and then think that that's going to
didn't-
justify
Bro,
your point,
shut the
right?
fuck up.
No, not bro, shut the fuck up, right? You don't get to psychoanalyze me to somehow justify your fucking point.
He's
Yeah,
hiding something.
They do
Yeah.
start with mistrust, and it doesn't have to come from parents. That can come from a lot of different things. But I don't know. Is there a fucking issue out there in the world
It's
that
a
might have the
CIA
majority
plan.
of fucking Americans have a mistrust of government?
Mm.
Yeah, it's called the fucking drug war, you fucking dumbass.
Oh, wow.
Always
Okay.
has to
all
bring
right.
it back to the
History.
drawing
Captain
board.
Thanks,
A.
Reagan.
Jones.
So a little leftist monthly called the Ram. Okay, no, I'm just kidding. So like I wasn't psychoanalyzing you, I was actually psychoanalyzing myself. Anyway, I was trying to be sympathetic towards like what Chud was saying, like these people have been really let down, and like what somebody said, I can't remember, somebody said like, you know, there needs to be like, or there should be rather, outreach programs where like and when they said that, I immediately started imagining people like maybe myself who have been conspiracy theorist minded, go out and like try to rationalize and talk with these people and just have an open dialogue, to be able to reel them in. And anyway, that just had me thinking just like, hey, wait, I'm a person like that. What? I don't know why that just dawned on me. Anyway.
Well, yeah, I think it would be hilarious. Just a quick meme, like the way that this would come about is like you would get a knock at your door. It's like, hey, we've been reading your internet activity. It seems like you might be going down a QAnon pathway. We've assigned a social worker to assist you in your transition.
To
We've got new
evaluate
living
you.
quarters for you in the Lugog part of town.
I'm so
They're
excited
covering
because
up the truth.
I can simp for Calliopean Club, like in a relevant sense, not just simping. So that's literally what Calliopean Club was meant to do. Like that was the original goal of the person who created Calliopean Club, Eris. She actually
Tell
had
them what
run
it is.
into
No one knows what that is.
yeah, Calliopean
I'm
Club
a
is a Discord.
Calliopean Club champion one
Oh
time.
wow,
Won a
Socrates,
debate.
nice. That's
Yeah.
actually pretty impressive. So Calliopean Club is a Discord server, and it's a politics debate kind of focus server in some ways. But anyway, it was originally created to actually de-radicalize Holocaust deniers. And it's kind of one of our primary goals is like the reason we one of the things we focus on is we focus on principle of charity, and like essentially good faith discussions and debates. So yeah, we ban the trolls, right? We ban the people who just come in to shout about the Jews or whatever. But we do actually engage with the people who are just essentially the people who fall into this conspiracy theory kind of hole. We actually engage with those people. Like we have a community of like a lot of people who are actually kind of in some ways passionate about that. We're a little left leaning, but we do have right wing people who also kind of fight back against conspiracy. The really insane conspiracy theories. Definitely hearing CTV here. Yeah, obviously some of these conspiracy theorists come from a mistrust in government, but some of them also just fall down this pathway. They fall down this kind of like radicalization pathway that social media creates. So yeah, there's ways to fight back against that in a kind of a positive way. I mean, I'm just giving one example, but there's ways to do that, and there are places doing that. That definitely can help. I personally have talked to people who went from literally talking about pretty intense stuff and ended up actually kind of talking to them over literally weeks or months and getting them to a point where they're kind of engaging in a normal way again, instead of talking about how the Jews are out there running all the banks and everything. It's the Irish running the banks.
Yeah, but the reality of what you're saying here is that the individual ends up having this moment of mistrust, whether it's them thinking that the government should be doing a thing that they are not doing, right? And then rather than quit shaking your head, you haven't even heard what I said, right?
Well, yeah, I disagree fundamentally with you about
the
government
you just
part.
disagree rather than just hearing the reasoning.
No,
right?
I've already heard you rant.
Yeah. That's what you're
the government part. I don't agree with the government part. Conspiracy theorists don't distrust
I just
the government.
listened to you.
I thought you said.
Was I not listening?
I thought you
was
want to be
listening,
psychoanalyzed,
right?
man.
Go on.
Right, I
Go
was
on,
just
CTV.
listening. Right.
Go on.
Okay. So, at some point, whether it was them thinking that the government should be doing a thing, or maybe they were mistreated by the government by way of the drug war or policies from the past, or whatever the justification is, that's what the mistrust between the individual and the government. When that starts, that's going to be the catalyst that carries them through to this line of conspiracy, because they will be more susceptible to believe whatever it is that they hear, because there's already a mistrust of the government.
No,
right?
It's not about government. That's the thing, is that you're making this assumption about some sort of mistrust in the government. There are people who do
What
go down that
conspiracies are we
pathway.
currently talking about?
So you're only talking about QAnon, but I'm talking about conspiracy theorists in
Well, then
general.
what other fucking conspiracies are we talking about? Are we bringing up like worldwide, like
We just
unsolved
fucking
mysteries and
said.
shit?
I just said multiple
I just said.
conspiracy.
It
Yeah,
seems like CTV are psychoanalyzing her as you said, to counterpoints. You don't want to be psychoanalyzed, so let's just focus on the main topic here.
The fuck are you talking about, Dan? You ain't
Well-
been making
my
sense
God,
all night.
CTV.
CTV.
Go ahead. I will go with counterpoints and then Captain A.
Yeah, so I think a key part of de-radicalization work that oftentimes people don't want to do is actually understanding the perspectives from the people's views. If you come at a Holocaust denier and you're just like, hey, you're a piece of shit, you shouldn't be talking about this fucking subject, the historical record is clear, you're just a fucking asshole, then they're gonna be like, oh, well, this is a person who hasn't bothered to check out the information. This is actually part of the reason why I haven't researched Holocaust denial, because I literally started pulling the thread on it and I was like, holy fucking shit, I would literally have to read a 10,000-page fucking thesis paper just to understand the cumulative evidence that supports the official narrative around Holocaust denial. I don't have time for this shit, right? Which basically means that it's left to people who have done that. And God bless them, right? But what I'm really saying here is that if you want to go after conspiracy theorists, if you want to go after people who have like really nefarious ideologies and all that kind of stuff, you have to understand the nefarious ideology from the internal perspective. I think there's a lot, like, so for instance, when I first started engaging with leftist circles, I literally thought socialism was when the government does things and communism was when the government does a lot of things. Clearly, you're not going to be taken seriously in left-wing spaces if that's your conception of socialism and communism. Same thing with like differentiation between libertarian socialism and authoritarian communism. Like these people are fucking oil and water. So if you pretend that they're the same people, then obviously you're not going to get very far. It's the same thing with like fascists. They have a very esoteric political philosophy that needs to be understood in order to argue with them on their terms. And then I would say the same thing. Part of the reason why I brought up like the actual, I could back up everything I said in the intro. But part of the reason why I brought up those facts is because if you want to dismantle the QAnon theory, then you basically have to acknowledge what is factual, because they're bringing a whole bunch of facts together and then building a narrative on top of it. So you have to acknowledge the facts that are real and then dismantle the overarching structure. There are real problems with wealth and power and sex and youth. There are real problems with people getting abused and enslaved. So you have to concede those parts of the reality in order to start maybe convincing them that Hillary Clinton and Obama and Joseph Biden didn't actually do like a ritualistic satanic ceremony where they like ate children or some shit. So that's where you have to figure out what's real in order to fight what's bullshit that's built on top of what's real.
Okay.
Can I go next?
No, Captain H. Owen, Socrates, and Dan.
So I think what Alice was trying to say was that why isn't QAnon just another conspiracy theory? She was saying, like, she was comparing the conspiracy theory to QAnon. Like, it doesn't really matter like what the conspiracy theory is if it's unfounded with scant evidence or evidence based off a 4chan post or some shit like that. Then then it's shit. It's a conspiracy theory. So I mean, I guess the main point, I don't know what point I really wanted to make. I really just wanted to clarify that. But then Connor went off on a huge tangent on again to just like throw me off. I'm thinking like, what the fuck?
You can ask if you want,
what were you
baby.
really implying? Because like, Connor, you seem to be implying a lot, and I would like to actually get into some nitty gritty here with this conspiracy theory, like, because I don't see why QAnon is not just another fucking conspiracy theory. Like, if you're saying that, and just to clarify, I guess what I've heard so far, if you're saying that like that that there's like that the elites, I'm not sure who that is, but the elites are doing child pedophilia. I guess it's not, and this is a pretty dark retort, but like, yo, rich and poor people, elite and non-elite, do horrible, disgusting things.
Sure.
And like, so what you're saying is that there's a few people maybe in our government who are, anyway, now I'll let you.
Yeah, sure. So basically, the whole crux of this narrative. So what I was saying is that there is truth, or at least some level of truth, that basically some rich elite people have run in circles in which they've engaged in prostitution with prostitutes that were as young as like 15 or 16. The evidence for this is Richard Epstein. Is it Jeffrey Epstein? Excuse me. Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein was basically somebody who was convicted of trafficking young girls, sex slaves, for the one person in chat who wants the verbal distinction. And Jeffrey Epstein was basically known for throwing a whole bunch of parties through the 90s and the thousands. These parties were wild, crazy. It definitely involved prostitution, definitely involved drugs. And on top of that, Ghislaine Maxwell, his girlfriend, was the person who helped facilitate some of the recruitment and the sexual abuse of underage folks. This is all public record. This is all legal record. Jeffrey Epstein was convicted of this, I believe, in the mid to late thousands. And through a deal with the state attorney's office, he was basically, I think he was he wasn't even incarcerated. He basically spent like 3 years in the Palm Beach County Jail, and he was allowed to spend his entire week at his office doing work. He was literally on work release for like 60 hours a week. It was a sweet deal that he basically helped negotiate. I don't know if Alan Dershowitz was his lawyer, but basically he negotiated this sweet deal with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office, and as a result, he suffered almost no consequences for running an underage prostitution ring with very powerful people. When it comes to the powerful people that participated in this, we actually don't have any evidence specifically implicating like Bill Clinton or Donald Trump, like physical evidence, but we do have corroborative evidence. So for instance, Donald Trump was accused of being at one of these parties during the 1990s and raping a 13-year-old prostitute. This case was ultimately dropped on procedural grounds where it was like improperly filed, but there's no way of knowing whether or not the allegations are actually true. And on top of that, you can actually find video evidence of Donald Trump admitting that he likes to party with Jeffrey Epstein, and some of Jeffrey Epstein's girls are a little bit on the younger side. He's literally saying this right to a fucking camera. So that's part of the corroboration for Donald Trump. And listen, if you're a billionaire and you're not doing crazy shit with like cocaine and prostitutes, I don't know why you're a billionaire, right? But obviously pedophilia is probably the fucking line that we should be drawing here, right? So when it comes to Bill Clinton was spotted by a staffer on Epstein's island, basically hanging out with young women. Whether or not these people had sex, basically the witnesses never said. And on top of that, the prostitutes have not come forward. My theory would be that like
let's just do sex slaves.
All right, these sex slaves. What I would assume is a majority of these sex slaves have been paid off. They probably weren't murdered and eaten by Joe Biden or fucking Hillary Clinton or some shit. Chances are what happened was they said, hey, if you shut your fucking mouth, we'll give you 500 grand. And you basically don't want to cross the people that you had sex with. So they were probably threatened with violence and also paid off to shut up. And this implicates a lot of really rich and powerful people. And Ghislaine Maxwell is currently in prison. And we haven't heard a fucking lick about her case right now, despite facilitating one of the most notorious underage sex trafficking rings in political history, probably because if she started talking about who actually participated in these sex acts, it would implicate a lot of people. So
I have a quick question for Connor.
Sure.
Do you think that Jeffrey Epstein was murdered?
No, but that's because I was unfortunately I was a law enforcement officer, and a lot of the correct
mic is
your mic was cutting in and out. Try it again. You were unfortunately you were a law enforcement officer, and
see, I mean that's the CIA. They're trying to prevent the real story from getting out. Okay, so basically, no, I don't think he was murdered. All of the incompetence that was like related to Jeffrey Epstein committing suicide or whatever, where like the prison guards didn't check on him and there's no CCTV footage. Unfortunately, I've worked in the law enforcement system long enough to know that it's probably incompetence and not, intentionality that killed him.
So,
but
okay, if I could,
if there was new evidence, I wouldn't care.
I do have to get to Socrates. Has been waiting quite patiently.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a departure from the actual content of the conspiracy theories, but talking a little bit back to kind of like what it might be that kind of drives people, and it's interesting looking at we're talking about the incentives of like a Twitch streamer as you make these radical statements to try to build up, and then over time it softens when you can't keep it up, whatever, when you become kind of more embedded in the community. It's interesting that it feels like there's kind of the same incentive structure at an individual level for online. So let's say you join a Discord, whatever. So you're some presumably lonely person, maybe who lives with your parents, maybe you're a student, whatever. You don't socialize as much in the real world, and so you're on Discord a lot. You go to a new Discord, you want to talk to people. What is the incentive structure like? If you come up and you say, go into a channel, you say, hi, whatever, I'm here from whatever, I'm doing this major. Maybe people talk to you, maybe you don't. But if you open with, by the way, the Jews did 9/11 using pizza from the moon, which is the only thing that's round in the universe, then you get a lot of attention. And people will talk to you, and people will keep talking to you and probing you intensely. And it's really sad that this is the place that lots and lots of people have ended up in, where that kind of incentive structure is powerful enough. My guess would be that this pushes a lot of people toward whether or not they believe these things, they'll role play believing in these things as long as it's getting them attention. And, you know, if that's the thing that you do, so if you're the flat earther and everybody wants to talk to you, and you stop believing in flat earth and suddenly nobody wants to talk to you, I would imagine that feels pretty rough. And that's, I don't know, that's sad. And I wish things were different.
Let's go to well, there's Dan wanted to say something, and then Captain A. Jones, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Counterpoints did mention about Jeffrey Epstein. He does, ironically, has a point here to that, and there is some great truth to a little bit of anything to a conspiracy theory, and should be looked at for sure. But we have, at least to say, I believe everyone here has the critical thinking skills to know what is reasonable and not reasonable to an investigation. And like we have looked at other figures throughout, I mean, the American history, and see like weird conspiracy theories like JFK assassination, inside job. Was it Alan Dulles who killed him, or whatever, or to that guy who got buried in that Jersey stadium or something like that? Like we have to be very critical to the factual knowledge, even though that much of the things that surround it is very much nonsensical to those we're obviously saying that harvesting children for their adrenochrome, or what they call it?
Adrenochrome.
Yeah, adrenochrome too. As I think that's a bit too much out there, but there might be something where kids are in trials to get something else, but which people should at least have a knowledge to know to go through the critical thinking process and investigation to do so. That's it.
I do. So, what did Captain A. Jones? I actually do want to get to other parts of this question, right? I wanted to talk about what public policy, if we're looking at this through an opioid addicted lens, right? If we're looking at it through the lens of addiction, then how can we actually use that to form public policy? Is that a useful lens? Are we just talking about this on the internet as nothing that actually could be done with this? Yeah. So, but we'll go to Captain A. Jones first, and if anyone else wants to jump on that, and okay, Connor.
Yeah, I don't think so, because I think if the government gets involved in something like this, that's kind of it's a weird slippery slope. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable with.
What
I'm
exactly
not sure.
are you not comfortable with, though? You're saying government get involved in what? In doing
In
what?
what exactly? I guess that would be my question to you, is in what? What would what kind of policy or legislation could the government enact that could deal with conspiracy theories?
So moving away from conspiracy theories for just 1 second, right? And we got to go to Counter, and then we'll go to Chud. Okay?
Yeah, I've got a point. Okay, so
Sure.
Wait in line.
But moving away from conspiracy theories for just 1 second, do you think the government should be involved in de-radicalizing extremists of any kind, right? So, for instance, extremists who do you think that government should just leave it all up to private citizens to stop the spread of white nationalism or Islamic terror or any of that stuff?
No. Absolutely not. I think that there's definitely a line somewhere. If you have an organization that like a white nationalist organization, for instance, that needs to have FBI people involved and fucking people going in and
What about black nationalists? That too?
Sure, if that's a problem.
Not de-radicalizing, so that's only
see, and
I'm just making sure he's philosophically consistent. That's all.
Sure, we know CTV. I'm just not sure.
Well, what about Hispanic nationalists, right? Or Asian nationalists?
No, I'm actually for that, because I happen to be Hispanic, so I would be for that.
Yeah,
in my own self-interest.
So rules for thee, not for. I got it.
I'm just joking. It's a joke.
Give America back to the Spanish.
Yeah, nationalism.
Yeah.
Cringe.
Texas belongs to Mexico, all right? Give it back.
Or
the Native Americans before them that the Spanish slaughtered. Anyway, whatever.
That would be the group I'd be a part of, right? I think all y'all need to get the fuck off my land, but whatever.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. So are you done, Captain A. Jones? Then we're gonna go to Connor and Chud.
So I know that you want to move this towards that, and I wanted to try to pin down Connor on the things that he just said, because he said a whole hell of a lot of things that.
Okay,
Do it!
Okay, go ahead. And then we'll go to Chud.
Sure. I just real quick. I don't want to start a back and forth between me and Connor, because I don't think that's productive. But like most of the things he said are like what ifs, and this might be this. And like, if you're telling me that Bill Clinton and Donald Trump are creeps, oh wow, you're not going to have me thinking anything other than that shit. I thought that before. You're not bringing any new information to me. Like, that sounds about right. Fuck. Like, but I'm just fucking saying this whole fucking conspiracy about, like, multiple congressmen or something like that. You were alluding to this being a lot bigger. And so far, all I've actually heard in terms of names were Donald Trump and Bill Clinton. And honestly, I'm not surprised by that. Yeah, they're creeps.
Okay. So, no. Counterpoints and Chud.
Yeah, and I'll address the point that's on topic too. Yeah, the reason why you don't hear me making a lot of positive assertions about who it is or being very specific is because we don't have the evidence. We just don't. As a matter of fact, all of the evidence that I cited, a lot of it is speculative. A lot of it is potentially explainable through happenstance or coincidence or political funding and all that kind of stuff. A lot of it is smoke. The problem is that, like, I'm not saying like every time there's smoke there's fire, but the problem that like nobody really wants to poke around in this shit kind of tells me there's probably more to the story than we want to give it credence to, because basically, like, this is an important story. There was a person who was running an underage prostitution ring that implicates a lot of the most powerful people in the world. And there's photographic evidence, there's video evidence, there's all sorts of things that actually like helps corroborate this narrative. And the fact that we, the people, are not powerful enough to poke into the story. And the people who are powerful enough to poke into the story don't seem interested. And that's scary, to be honest. But anyways, to address the de-radicalization question, basically, like, I'm okay with like de-radicalization programs for the government. My only thing would be basically it would need to be voluntary, and that's like educative, basically. Like, hey, are you in QAnon? Do you want to hear why this might be incorrect? Then go ahead and go to this website. We've actually compiled a whole list of resources for counterfactual information that might basically help you out. And then also tell family members. Do you have somebody who's like a QAnon? Who basically you're having difficulty communicating with them? We've actually compiled all the resources that help debunk this conspiracy theory with factual information. I think that would be perfectly acceptable. Sorry,
but is
almost
QAnon
done.
partly true? But if it's partly true, then why would the government be saying that it's false? What parts are false? What does the government say is false?
The Satanism, eating children, and probably harvesting adrenochrome is probably false.
Yeah, there's a subset of QAnon beliefs we probably can say, well, that's fucking insane.
And I just want to point out again,
though.
I want to point out again, though, that you said there's many people implicated, and you haven't said anybody other than Trump or Clinton.
George
Okay.
Bush,
Alan Dershowitz.
Alan
is
Dershowitz.
one of,
Okay. Yeah, that's a creep.
Oh,
George
okay,
Bush,
yeah.
also a creep.
Chud.
I don't know about the Bushes or whatever. But basically, and here's the other thing is, like, it doesn't really matter how far this goes. For instance, Jeffrey Epstein is indisputed, regardless of whether or not there were prostitutes involved, indisputed one of the largest party places in New York in the 1990s. There are basically, he would pay every A-list celebrity who existed during the early 1990s to come party with him. And there are photos of all of these people high and drunk out of their fucking minds with Jeffrey Epstein. So there's a lot. The reason why you're not hearing me making concrete, like Leonardo DiCaprio was having sex with 13-year-old prostitutes, is because we don't fucking know. We don't know. We weren't there. I wasn't there. I'm not running in this fucking. I'm not running in the social circle.
13-year-old sex slave.
So
No,
hold on.
I mean,
Anyways,
only thing
can I address the?
I do.
Can I just make my fucking point I'm waiting to make for 10 minutes? Thank you. Right, listen. Here's the problem, okay? Everyone is so fucking worried about, like, fixing the problem as it exists. There's like a sticky plaster on it, right? Yes, I agree these people have got issues. How big is QAnon in its totality? We need to bear that in mind. We need to deal with it, okay? But here's the real fucking deal, okay? What we actually need to do is make meaningful, change so that we stop creating circumstances in which these fucking conspiracy nuts come out of the fucking woodwork, right? And that's a more difficult fucking thing that you've got to contend with and you've got to deal with. And that's the hard question that no one wants to ask. Now you got the fucking Dems back in control, okay? Now look, I know there's some people in there probably like, oh, the Dems are all right, da-da-da. Yeah, they need to fucking start putting their finger out and meeting the material needs of these people that are fucking desperate, that end up in QAnon. Because if they don't, they're going to continue to perpetuate this fucking problem. And that is the real fucking deal. And that's all I've got to say.
And I wanted
hard with the good points.
Socrates, I want to address something that you said because I think it was really important. Basically, I think Chud's right that if you have materially impoverished people who are desperate and clinging to a sense of order, and then you send government agents to their house to say, you believe in a conspiracy theory, would you like to come to the re-education camp? You're going to push these people further down the conspiracy theory rabbit hole, because even if that guy goes to the fucking conspiracy theory re-education camp and he comes out, he's like, oh, it turns out everything I believe was bullshit. You're creating a new conspiracy theory where fucking people are getting brainwashed into no longer believing the conspiracy theory. So no, I think a lot of this has to be informational, educational, and voluntary.
I'm sorry. Can I just point out that you did it again? Connor, you did it again, where you went full blown all the way to government agents coming to your house, which is like the
Socrates said that 10 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Socrates said that 10 minutes ago.
House? Socrates, why would you say that?
So I was imagining.
Socrates,
so
why would you fucking sabotage me like that?
No. So I was saying the clear thing that we should all agree that's very obviously on his face, haha, wouldn't it be funny if it's we tried to stop this by figuring out through some data analytics who all the QAnoners are, and then sending a social worker to their house. It would be funny how much they would fucking lose it, because they'd be like, oh my god, it's definitely real now.
Well, see, you just fucking did it. And now look how derailed we just got.
Social workers.
Sure, okay. Yeah. So I was trying to rule something out. It's amazing, lack of focus, but it's fine. Okay, so I think Chud makes a really, really good point that obviously the root of a ton of this shit is just the fact that people are fucking floundering. People don't have maybe any. A lot of these people might not have really any job, or they don't have a job.
They don't have direction.
Feel direction. Some kind of community. All of this stuff.
It definitely goes back to fucking Britain, right? Because
Britain.
It's all Britain.
Why you got to try to blame everything on Chud?
So, wait. So just to go back to what I said earlier. So we're here now we're on an internet platform. Forget about the government. We're the people who are actually directly interacting. We are on the Discord servers with. Well, I don't know how many QAnoners specifically. I don't know if it's all 7-year-old people who watch Fox News versus if it's kids. But anybody who's into a conspiracy theory on it, who's a kid, they're probably on a Discord server. We're probably in Discord servers with a lot of these people. As Alice said, this is why ChudLogic Club was created. I didn't realize that, actually. It's really interesting.
Apparently, there's QAnoners in my chat right now.
Yeah, great. So the question. So first of all, one thing that I've seen when we look at this. So when we have any of these people, who are identified within our community, whatever, one thing that I've seen that bothers me, that I think we could all think about how we want to proceed with, is how do we relate to this person? How do we interact with them? How do we not make the fact that they believe something crazy into a spectacle, which is really hard on Twitch, and spectacle is the name of the game, right?
So I would love to answer that. I would love to answer that just from anecdotal Andy here, because I used to be.
That's perfect.
I used to and just to give you some cred, I used to believe a 9/11 was an inside job. I used to believe in chemtrails. What else? Shit, fucking anyway.
It's so weird. Why did the CIA seize the one tape from that gas station that showed the Pentagon getting hit? Why did they seize it a day later? We never got to see it. It's never been released. I'm sorry.
It's so good. I mean, but I used to be this person, and when I hear people say oh, if you're mean to them, then they'll go away. I don't know. You know what? When I was a conspiracy theorist, I lusted to literally thrived on arguing with people.
Yep.
And when they called me an idiot, I was so unfazed. Oh my fucking God. I can't tell you how unfazed I am. Or I was and still am by shit even if a lot of this was in person. Some of my best friends used to be the people calling me idiots. And this was not the thing that got it. First of all, them arguing me wasn't even the thing that got me to not be a conspiracy theorist. Although I think it really helped, because when a lot of things happened personally in my life that made it so that I was a conspiracy theorist, when I got to them, like when they, when we started talking politics again, they were very what's the word? Not charitable, but like nice about it. They welcomed me with open arms.
There was a community.
With new opinions. And as my opinions have evolved and continue to evolve, I mean, like, I don't think I'm anywhere near. I don't think there's ever going to be a final form. There's always going to be a new issue to learn about and become educated about. So, like, that's just my motto. And I guess that's, not to bring it back to the previous topic, but that's why I kind of was a little like pushing back, I guess, on the last topic, just because like I don't know what I would do politically. I'm not sure I have like hardcore political views on much. Like, because I haven't finished forming them. As breaking in my voice as that sounded.
Yeah, I think the key thing is to sorry, just very quickly. The key thing is if people believe in conspiracy, the more information that they gather that is going to benefit them. With me, I used to be a 9/11 truther. The thing that opened my eyes was just more information, and that eventually led me to the path where I was like, yeah, this is a lot of bullshit, and it's how do you get that information across to them? People talk about censorship of this stuff. I don't know if that's the right answer. It can just push people further down rabbit holes. So we need to find ways. And also, here's the other problem. Distrust in like the mainstream media is a massive problem, and that leads to this too. And there's lots of problems with the mainstream media we can talk about. So all of these are like systemic issues that are at play, and until we really start to meaningfully fix them, you can have social workers go and visit QAnon is great, but in 5 years' time you'll have another fucking conspiracy take hold. Nothing changes. So it's about structural systemic change. That's the key to nipping this, and stopping it going forward. Anyway,
stop the presses real quick.
Yeah, now
Prime, would you take it away?
Yeah. Okay. Just 1 second. Thank you, Citizen Zero, for the for resubbing. And then thank you. It's Hercules for subbing if you're a Prime Gaming. Thank you, Arrakis Network, who giving 1,000 bits and says tell Counterpoints he could have had this money, but no, he had to do monetization. And then thank you, Ambrick, holy crap, for gifting 25 hot tier 1 kids up to the channel. It's unbelievable. Thank you. Thank you, Anarchist Visa, for the 200 bits. And I think I called everyone. But thank you all for the kind of support. We have a hype train, level 4 hype train. Can we get to level 5 hype train? If you'd be so kind to sub, donate bits or donate subs, all that helps the channel, keeps us strong and investing in us, and gets me closer to surpassing Hasan. It'll happen. We can get a bigger house, right? And I want all these motherfuckers to be on someone else's panel complaining about me. That's the goal. Sorry. Let's go.
Biggs, you want to say something?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so another thing too is like kind of getting back to like trying to help like the specific people. One thing that I did notice when looking at this topic is a lot of the people that agreed, or at least somewhat agreed, based on some small studies that they did in 2019 or 2020. The majority of the people that were evangelical Christians were some of the most susceptible to these type of views, and I think that has a lot to do with like the whole concept of, I don't know how many people on here are religious, but the whole concept of believing something based on faith and not evidence based. Now, I don't want to go into the religious, arguments here, but I do think that has something to do with why these people, are so easily swayed by this type of rhetoric and stuff like that. Not only that, but I think a lot of these people have this need to feel like they're fighting evil. They want to put something as being evil. And now that they don't have like anything else to worry about in their lives, because not everybody, but in general, these people that tend to be these QAnoners are like of a higher social class, maybe higher income earners, things like that. And they just need to put something as the enemy. They feel like they need to have that. That's how they can get their like self-fulfillment, and things like that. And I think that being these evangelical Christians might have something to do with that. Again, I'm not really here to argue religion, but I think that comes into play quite a bit.
Okay, go ahead.
That's incredibly well said. I think people are incredibly tribal. They're always looking for an enemy. They're always looking for an opponent. They're always looking for a challenge. And when they can't find one, they'll create one. So that's super important. And one of the things that somebody was bringing up, it's like we have trust issues with the mainstream media. Well, I mean, like I think the main thing that we need to get back to, it might be a little old fashioned or whatever, but is rooting your fucking perspective in truth. Not that you're always going to know what the truth is, not that you're always going to know what the facts are, but trying to understand the truth. Looking up facts that like counter your narrative, look up facts that support your narrative, and then having them battle out, not just in your mind, but also like with other people and all that kind of stuff. And unfortunately, one of the things that you brought up is that people are really susceptible to what feels emotionally real. Like what, you know, whether or not it's like fact-based, what feels good. That's something that people like strive for. They really want it. They want to feel like they have an ordered sense of the universe. And that's actually one of the things that really bugs me about conspiracy theories in general, is it gives you a nefarious solidity. So basically, some people cannot deal with the fact that the world is chaotic and random, and you can't understand everything. And there's a certain element of mystery. I fucking hate that about the world. But conspiracy theories, instead of saying like, oh, I can't control all the variables, conspiracy theories say the world is understandable. You can know this deep, solid truth. And it's something that only you can understand because you're fucking special and you know better than everybody else. So even though the truth is horrifying, that the elites of this world basically dominate everything and they fucking kill kids in order to harvest their adrenochrome and shit, it gives you a certain level of like solidity in your perspective because you know the truth more than anybody else on the planet. And that kind of that certainty, unfortunately, is incredibly like emotionally appealing to our fucking lizard brains. And the more you learn about the universe, unfortunately, the less that seems to be true.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Can
And
I
like a capital T truth, because we have all this information, we have all these facts, we have all these numbers we can look up, some kind of like total analysis that gives us, like you said, something that you can relate to as where is your place in some kind of struggle. We all know that there's bad stuff going on. We all know that things aren't great for people. So how do we conceptualize this? Yeah.
But it feels very nebulous because basically contacting Alice in order to set up a socialist cooperative grocery store is not as sexy as going to the Capitol and storming it so you can take out all those pedophiles, right?
I think co-ops are sexy.
Okay, can I at least
What if we
start
wear
because I've
bikinis
been
or
waiting
something?
for a while.
Dan.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Is it hygienic?
Dan.
Probably.
Yeah, so yeah, I think we all can acknowledge here that we all have subscribed to at least one conspiracy theory and then regret believing that as we get older and we get to know more. Like for me, I used to be very big into the business plot with Smedley Butler saying that capitalists are doing a fascist coup and before like FDR became president. And then I realized it was on the premise of one man, Smedley Butler, and you need way more evidence, just one general for that whole entire plot. And to the main point of, as Counterpoints have been mentioning, is that yeah, a lot of this always has been like feeling and purpose has been like the draw on too much people, including religion and this conspiracy theories, because then they offer you an answer that cannot be usually answered. Like, how does the universe work? What does the afterlife? Then how does the government really work with the ultimate sense of the purpose of everyone in society? And we can acknowledge some can be good and some can be bad, and at least to the case of everyone here, having a conspiracy theory about QAnon is pretty bad and pretty harmful, and a lot of it's kind of harming society. And then compared to those who are Christians, are probably to the other case, is at least giving a purpose to their moral values and etc. I assume that a lot of people, including here, Counterpoint specifically because he has a nationalist view on things. So I'm not trying to deny him there. And a lot of it has been given to much of the feelings of everyone else, but to then we have to then see to the truth through our own way, through, at least we could say, critical thinking. So
Oh God, I thought the business plot was real until 45 seconds ago.
So
No,
how
no,
are these
I-
ideas? How are these ideas actually harmful though? If they're just ideas.
So you want me to tell you, CTV? Did you not see that this guy killed his
God.
kids because of this
Mm.
shit? That's pretty
Or
fucked up.
yeah,
Or the Capitol riot.
Or the
Well, I mean, yeah, obviously.
So
but,
if
I
it
mean,
wasn't this conspiracy, it could have been something else. It seems like that individual probably had
I-
more things going
true.
on.
That's true.
I don't think that's a I
Right?
don't think that's a fair argument. Like you
How is it not?
like
Well,
How is
because
it not?
okay, here,
because
wait,
where's the 9/11
I can
conspiracy
steel man
theorist
everyone.
doing this?
I can steel man
Where's
everyone.
the
I can steel man
person-
everyone.
Go
Okay,
for it.
this is so good. We're talking about epidemiologically and like how this could be related to addiction, whatever. Okay, what if they have? We could call these people immunocompromised. They have shit going wrong in their life. They're likely to get some kind of ideological infection. However, this
If they just put their
particular
mask on, that'd be
infection,
all right, right?
yeah, that would help,
Oh.
right? Their mask, putting a mask on would be blocking Fox News, right? But so they're immunocompromised. They're likely to fall for some kind of conspiracy. However, that doesn't mean that we shouldn't also try to combat these individual infections that are rampaging, right? So QAnon is a particular infection. These people are immunocompromised. So you want to try to work on both fronts. How can we try to stamp out this particular infection while also trying to boost their immune systems?
Yes,
and
and
I'm-
bring it
Science.
based.
Yeah, the problem, I don't want to say the problem, but the challenge is that the way that you kind of stamp out these ideas or whatever is fuck yes. All right, Socrates, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Media literacy, knowing when you're being propagandized, one of the most important fucking things on the goddamn planet. Okay, literally.
Yep.
Okay, so talk about being radicalized by. It
is
literally
now.
should be.
The government should go door to door and force people to learn this stuff. That's how important.
Yes,
it is.
No.
100%.
Wait.
Yes. So, so hold on, really quickly, because one of the things where I realized I was propagandized because of a fucking 10-head genius, right? So during the fucking mass immigration of like 2016, where like the Arab Spring happened, a bunch of governments collapsed, and a whole bunch of people from Middle East and North Africa were moving into Europe. I was propagandized by a bunch of right-wing people to think of this as like an intentional invasion, right? And they played fucking scary music, and they showed people smashing windows and all that kind of shit. And I was like, fuck. Like, I'm ready to go. Like, whatever we're going to do, I'm primed for it. And then I realized they hadn't presented me with a solution. They just presented me with a bunch of fucking problems. And not only had they only presented me with problems, but then on top of that, they just played scary fucking music. And then I literally watched the video again, and I was like, this is like misdemeanors. This is like vandalism. Like, what the fuck? Like, they're playing fucking Lord of the Rings Battle of Helm's Deep fucking music in the background. And it's a fucking dude smashing a glass window. So that's kind of real. That's where I realized, like, I'm being propagandized. I'm being bullshitted. I'm being manipulated. And so if you can give kids that knowledge where you're like, hey, if somebody's coming at you with a fucking idea and they don't have a lot of facts, but they do have a lot of aesthetic and flair, that should be setting off your fucking spidey sense for whether or not this person is full of shit. That's a really important lesson that I did not learn until my mid-20s.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, there's another kind of thing that I've learned that it's like if you talk to someone and you feel like your mind is kind of like going blank and getting fuzzy, and you can't really follow what they're saying, but you still feel kind of drawn into it. That's another just kind of internal thing that you can notice that somebody is kind of like manipulating you. Like I've talked to a lot of religious people, and I can
We've been feeling all night.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a normal day on Twitch politics. I'm confused.
Yeah.
Noise.
Gatekeep, gaslight, girl boss.
Based.
Be careful,
Yeah.
I'm still smarting a little.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I think like
Captain?
ultimately the prescription for something like this, I don't think can come from, unlike many things, something like this is not necessarily where I think the government is the best actor to be involved. I think like de-radicalizing people, first off, it starts early. Like I'll tell you what, I was a conspiracy theorist because I had issues growing up and with authority with my parents, and like it had to do with how I was raised and a whole fucking hell of a lot of factors that had absolutely nothing to do with steel beams on 9/11. And that was just a tangent. That was just a side effect of all that. And so like it was really going right back to what Chud was saying. Like Chud, I think nailed it. Like this, we can't deal with this, you know, in a way that in like the normal way of thinking about things. We have to deal with it on a systemic level. This has so much more to do with how people are raised than the information that's out there. Because so many conspiracy theories are just on their face, very obvious to see that they're either like exaggerations or just blowing facts way out of fucking proportion, or any number of those kind of things, and you end up with tragedies like
and the scary music. And so there was I remember seeing this again, a Fox News clip. It was the caravan, and they were cutting between clips of people marching in like the caravan, whatever, through Mexico with like Al Qaeda fighters. They were cutting back and forth between those, between that and like ISIS, and it was like,
yeah,
holy shit. And you know that like most of the people who are going to be watching that for the full segment aren't going to understand what's happening.
Well, okay, so that's where I think that educating people on media literacy is probably like the most important thing, because not everybody's going to listen to you when you give them these tools, right? Yep. But for the people who do, when you start seeing that like very quickly associative images are being bounced back and forth, when you hear specific images with all that kind of stuff, and when you start asking yourself the question, what does this person want me to believe, or what does this person want me to buy, and how are they trying to sell it to me? Those are incredibly important questions. And unfortunately, because we live in like a uber capitalist society, I'm still a mixed economy capitalist. Sorry, I don't think marketing is completely evil. But like understanding marketing can rob some of that magic. It's kind of like it's kind of like seeing the special edition, like how the movie was created kind of thing, but for marketing and for brainwashing. And as scary as it might be for the government to give up its secrets on like propaganda and all that kind of stuff, I also think that would actually be like a really good faith gesture towards the populace to say like, hey, we don't want y'all falling for bullshit, so we're actually going to teach you how to smell bullshit. And I think that would be really cool. I think that'd be a step in the right direction as far as like truth telling.
If we did that with like the Iraq War, because there was so much behind selling that, not just between the government, but even like liberal rags like the New York Times, where they start asking it's just like questions like, oh, maybe what if there were WMDs? It's just, you see this kind of whole propaganda machine mobilized simultaneously across the country.
Yeah, the trouble you've got is that I agree with your points, but the government and the media, it's not in their interest to increase media literacy. They in many ways rely on people's media literacy to push their messaging out, and that's obviously what manufacturing consent is all about. So yeah, I guess it's like, how do we do that? And I think it's difficult, right? Because you kind of have to rely on independent media to kind of push these messages out there, but then also that's a double-edged sword, because they could be fucking nutty too. They could be pushing fucking bullshit messaging. So it's
Yes.
Yeah, somebody thought they were pinning me down when they said, local news sources are always the best. I don't trust the mainstream media. And I was like, oh, bullshit. Local news sources are sometimes the fucking worst.
Well,
they hire the most obviously biased people, or they have some insanely biased content. Like they always got some kind of
wait. Like, to add to Jones, like, yeah, for sure, Sinclair owns like 60% of news stations across the United States, and they have a pristine interest to hold to a corporate standard in what they do for their news, and they have shown through it. And I think even John Oliver did a thing about it too, I think a couple of years ago. So it's,
what's the most interesting thing about Sinclair Media, Dan?
What?
Okay. So probably about 2 years ago, or maybe it was like a year and a half ago, Sinclair Media released a fucking public statement that drove the right wing fucking insane, which was like, hey,
your mic is messing up.
There's a lot of fake
coming after him.
Fucking trust us.
The CIA does
They're silencing you.
God.
Yeah, I'm very sorry that the CIA.
Why CIA?
Yeah.
I took the money. I'm shilling for you. Jesus Christ.
Try it again, buddy.
What about now?
A little harder.
Yeah.
Your anti-war stance is disappointing them.
Yeah. Okay. So what I was saying was Sinclair Media came out with this thing, and like all the alternative right wing media pundits were like, "This is how the government brainwashes you," because they literally had 300 news stations all reading the same statement about fake news. But Sinclair Media is not like a liberal or progressive or centrist organization; it's a fucking right wing media group. So it was literally the right wing calling the right wing bullshit. So.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Thanks for bringing that up.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Yeah, just
Does anyone have anything else?
Yeah, so I wanted to say one of the things that I think we can do to try to mitigate this issue is we really need to kind of put the focus back on critical thinking skills, and trying to show people, starting with like friends and family, people you might know, all the people in Prime's chat. There's quite a few people in here. Be sure to follow and sub to Prime. But also, if you do have a family member that's like into these conspiracies and stuff like that, try to get them in a compassionate way and try to get them to kind of see the flaws as far as like critical thinking, and like kind of see if you can gently poke holes into their narratives without causing conflict, because like kind of all of us have said since the beginning, treating this issue with compassion and understanding, and not like vitriol and confrontation. I think that can go a long way, especially coming from somebody like a family or a friend, is a lot better than, like Captain said, like government's not where you want this coming from. That's just going to exacerbate the issue. So I think that if we can come from that perspective and try to do it in a way that can be caring and understanding, and trying to be, as friendly and open as possible, even if you can change one or two minds, I think it's definitely a benefit overall. And then maybe as we kind of chip away at this conspiracy stuff, people kind of open their eyes and get more critical thinking and be able to actually make proper decisions and understand things better in the future.
Yeah, and to back this up, cognitive dissonance is a motherfucker. So you might tell somebody to something that will like fuck their head, and they won't even realize that it fucks their head for like 5 years, 10 years. And they'll literally come back like 5 or 10 years later and they'll be like, bro, you said this one thing. It didn't click for me until literally yesterday, but I remember that conversation we had. And like, so even just throwing those perspectives out there, speech matters, communication matters, all that kind of shit. And then also somebody was bringing up, like, do we want the government, or do we want to trust the government to communicate like media literacy to the population, considering they're the people who sometimes hit us with disinformation? No, not necessarily, but this is the power of YouTube. This is the power of alternative media, is that you can literally have, I've actually talked to this about Vadim, Creationist Cat or whatever. Like, we need to do a media literacy video that literally just tells millennials and Zoomers, this is how to smell bullshit. Because the truth is, there's nobody gatekeeping that shit. You can create that and share it.
Yeah, I just want to say,
if it's coming out of a Democrat's mouth, it's probably bullshit. You can start there.
Shut up. Okay. Well, let's just get a PSA of many of the right-leaning people, like Counterpoints or other figures from the Twitch politics, and get all the people from the right. Just pick a single PSA. It says no when it's bullshit and no it's not. Critical thinking by the Twitch politics community.
So I think, like, as a closing statement on this, like, I think places like the Calliopean Club, or like really any place streamer, it could just be an individual streamer. It could be a place like here, PrimeCayes. Like any place like this is going to be the best place to accept wacky, not, I want to be very clear, not hateful, because there's, we've all seen those, racist, transphobic, whatever, not those people, but these, like, kind of out there views. We need places to accept these people, to have it so that they don't feel like too ostracized. I mean, again, when I was a conspiracy theorist, I love to fucking argue. So being ostracized is more like I'm getting to argue with the people that I want to argue with. So it's like, I wouldn't be too worried about like going too hard on these people. Like, let them have their take and then debunk it. Usually it's really fucking easy. It doesn't take long.
So here's a question that I had for you, Captain, and this is just kind of a general just thing for the community, and this is something that I've thought about, which is that it feels like a lot of the time the way people get identified with an ideology or with some community or some kind of like conspiracy theory or anything, I feel like one thing that I try to be careful of when I talk to people, engage with people, or even in my own head, is instead of being like, that person, that's the flat earther or whatever, that's the QAnoner, conspiracy theorist, that's this person, and they believe in this. And I wonder, like, Captain A. Jones, because you've actually kind of been through this process of like transforming your own thoughts. Was that something that you ever grappled with? Is like people kind of identifying you like as this thing rather than like first as a person and second as this? Was that ever relevant for you?
Nope. Like
Okay.
like I said, like any chance I got to argue and debate these things with people who were willing to debate and like didn't get like upset about it, because yeah, I guess there were a couple people
that was all helpful.
Yeah, like honestly, like it was all first helpful, and second, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed spreading my theories, and as fucking horrible as that is, because I spread some atrocious theories, but like I enjoyed the fucking back and forth of the argument and the debate. That was all fun as fuck. And then when I stopped being a conspiracy theorist, I went right to the opposite, and I started arguing with the conspiracy theorists. Like because I wanted that. That was something that it was part of like this weird community of like conspiracy and
anti-conspiracy
exactly.
We've had that on Calliopean Club as well. Like people who were kind of like they start out as like really extreme views or like conspiracy theorists or something. They end up actually like shifting over to the other side, as it were, to participating like in a much more positive way. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I used
it
to
takes
be a
time.
Yeah, it takes time.
We have a few like ex-fascists. We have a few like we have a lot of people who are like active, and they started out kind of in this, and even in our server, they started out as like really extreme views, or conspiracy theorists, and now you see them participating, and they're participating and talking to people who are fascists, or they're talking through these views with people in a way that actually helps those other people actually self-challenge, which is kind of the important thing. Psychologically, you're not gonna, whatever information you get that contradicts your own views is just not gonna fucking work. You have to make the change yourself, with your own, essentially, logic behind it, right? So it's gonna take you months or years to change your views, but hey, I mean, we just put it in front of you, right? What else can we do? Self-serve, kind of.
All right.
Yeah, that was
All right, so I got the idea here for you. This is how we can solve this
Oh,
problem. Are you ready? Are you ready?
I was born
I
ready.
hope everyone is listening. For everyone that is completely discouraged, right, by the fact that Hasan has went and fucking bought him $1 million mansion in Hollywood, right? What you need to be doing, right, is coming over and subscribing to CTV, because what I want to do is actually build RV parks around the country so that people will be able to park their RVs once they get them and be able to get to the places where there are the most jobs available, and make it affordable for people to be able to move around the country and chase down the opportunities that will be good for them, right? So, like, if you really want some kind of real change
it's
to happen,
4:30 in the morning.
give me
It's
as much
4:30 in the
money,
morning,
because
please.
that's
Can I
what's gonna
just
happen.